Captain, would you like to hear a joke? In the bridge of the Xihe, the voice of the shipboard AI Wangshu rang out. Go ahead, Wangshu, Zhao Chang'an said with a faint smile as he sat in the main bridge chair. Though I don't think a little ship girl like you has any sense of humor. Once upon a time, there were two civilizations. One had swords, and the other had ships. But the former couldn't defeat the latter. Why? One had bronze swords, the other alloy swords. No. One had bronze swords, and the other had a star destroyer. Zhao Chang'an's mouth twitched. Not funny. Then I have a funnier one. A person had only one tooth left, but he still got food stuck in his teeth. Why? Why? Because he was eating lotus root. If you were even slightly humorous, you wouldn't be. Zhao Chang'an shook his head helplessly and gazed out the porthole at the sky-covering, earth-obscuring bizarre creatures. They were separated from the Xihe by an immense distance, making individual shapes indistinguishable to the naked eye, but their vast numbers formed a black tide spanning the entire star cluster, observable even outside the cluster. The Federation had evolved from a primitive Stone Age civilization into an omniscient and omnipotent top-level civilization in less than 40,000 years. At this moment, the Federation fully mastered the grand unified formula space technology and partial time technology, able to modify some universal laws, and had preliminarily equipped conceptual weapons. Perhaps the Federation's rise was too rapid, or perhaps Heaven decided the Federation needed an enemy, so these bizarre creatures suddenly descended from beyond the world without anyone noticing. It was a deluge on a cosmic scale spanning hundreds of millions of galaxies, engulfing all life. If it were mere beast-tide tactics, they would be insignificant before the Federation's abundant firepower, but among these swarms existed terrifying beings that could alter universal laws, exist multidimensionally, and were undying. They could distort space, rewrite physics, interfere with reality, and neither gamma-ray bursts nor black hole cannons could completely erase them. These unimaginable bizarre beasts, leading an almost infinite tide, suddenly attacked several star regions under Federation control. Within 3 days, tens of thousands of galaxy clusters fell one after another, and the Federation lost nearly a third of its territory in an instant. Unfortunately, the Federation's homeworld was located right at the edge of that lost third of territory. Now the Federation had mobilized a full half of its fleet to cover the homeworld's evacuation. An artificial universe had long been constructed outside the main universe. As the spiritual symbol of the Federation, the homeworld would be transferred to artificial universe No. 3. All channels to that universe would be sealed, and it would remain there until the war ended. Inside the homeworld's command center, the scene was busy but orderly. Vast amounts of data and intelligence converged in the quantum core, and after sorting, the information was transmitted directly to the minds of the experts and officers present. Military Department, report the battle situation. Report to the Council Leader. The Xihe and Huanyu, 2 fleet-class warships, are holding the defense line. In addition, there are 536 main fleets and 7648 regular fleets, enough to delay until the evacuation is complete. Good. And the Minister of Technology. I now represent the Supreme Council and grant you the Federation's highest authority. Immediately organize the homeworld's evacuation at full capacity. On the homeworld's defense line spanning several galaxy clusters, the Xihe hovered at the center of the fleet. Its colossal hull, 120 kilometers long, was like an unassailable fortress in space, forming the Federation's wall of size alongside other warships. Xihe Fleet-class starship, the Federation's most advanced fleet-class starship, length 128,360 km, powered by hyperdimensional heavy particle engines. Output per second equals billions of conventional stars. Equipped with the highest-level Star Destroyer cannon, granted full sequence extinction order authorization. Integrated with various factories and combat modules, possessing the complete Federation tech tree, capable of restarting the entire Federation civilization alone if necessary. Xihe, the fleet-class starship. 8 Qinglong core combat ships orbited it like satellites. High-dimensional particle bombardment, dimensional crushing, spatial wave annihilation cannons, black hole collapse cannons. Various attacks erupted from these steel behemoths, blasting death zones covering several galaxies in the surging alien tide. Xianyuan Star Destroyer cannon fully charged. Requesting authorization to open fire. Main cannon fire. Zhao Chang'an granted the firing permission. At the center of the deep black hull armor, directly above the 2 hyperdimensional heavy particle engines, a sinister cannon muzzle slowly lit up. The 100,000-meter wide muzzle surged with deep blue light, locking onto a bizarre creature trying to breach the 2-dimensional foil defense. This bizarre creature was clearly a special individual in the swarm. Most of its companions had died painfully during the spatial 2-dimensionalization, but it still survived in the 2-dimensional space created by the foil, even attempting to break through the 2D blockade. It had clearly reached a state of multidimensional unity and immortality. The 2-dimensional foil, as the Federation's T2 level extinction order, had long been a tool for large-scale cleansing. Unexpectedly, even such a weapon was at a disadvantage against these strange swarms. Fortunately, the Xianyuan Star Destroyer cannon aboard the Xihe was a T-0 level extinction weapon, far surpassing the two-dimensional foil. As rings of deep blue light lit up along the barrel, a dazzling beam tore through the void. Like erasing a single panel from a comic with an eraser, this terrifying torrent negated the creature's existence from its root, annihilating it on a conceptual level, turning it into nothingness. Like a spear of judgment hurled by a deity, the deep blue light pierced through the surging alien tide, annihilating the conceptual existence of all bizarre creatures along its path, forcibly tearing a straight vacuum zone through the swarm, transforming into an eternal void. Every existence erased, leaving only nothing. With the elite Federation fleet's escort, the surging alien tide failed to breach the defense line for a long. Finally, accompanied by a massive space-time tremor, the complex cross-universe jump was ready. The Federation homeworld began the jump process, and the space jump permissions of all Federation warships were unlocked, allowing them to jump synchronously with the homeworld and evacuate to the completely safe subuniverse. After the homeworld evacuated, the alien tide would continue across tens of thousands of galaxies until it crashed into a defense belt of 9 fleet-class starships. Then the subuniverse fleet would jump out from behind the tide, forming a pincer attack. However, the battle never goes according to plan. There are always surprises. Just as the Zai's jump began, a spine-chilling space-time fluctuation came from the direction of the alien swarm. The Minister of Technology, who had just breathed a sigh of relief, now wore a grave expression. These bizarre creatures. How could they have mastered the method to open space-time tides? The council leader beside him asked, "Is the impact on the homeworld severe?" The homeworld has the most advanced Dongwang Bell rule shield. This space-time tide cannot damage the homeworld structure. But under its interference, the probability of jump failure is 99.997, and the homeworld will miss the final evacuation opportunity. Is there any solution? The current space-time tide is most likely created by one of the more advanced creatures and is still growing. Some of our warships have the ability to navigate in space-time tides. If we send the fleet to fill it now, we can directly block it. The generals in the military department fell silent. This was undoubtedly sending their fleets to die. For the homeworld stopped the jump and charged toward the space-time tide. Upon receiving this near-suicidal order, all warships in the middle of jumping unanimously aborted their jumps, not a single exception. Wangshu, how many fleets are needed to fill this turbulence? Zhao Chang'an asked. Captain, this turbulence is still growing. According to my calculations, only 6 exajoules of energy can completely destroy this tide. If the Zai's hyperdimensional heavy particle engine melts down, it can instantly release 9 exajoules. Upon hearing this, Zhao Chang'an pondered briefly. Wangshu, the moment of life or death for the homeworld has come. Are you willing to accompany me? Captain, I am willing. Wangshu's reply was resolute, giving Zhao Chang'an the courage to decide. Xihe, initiate targeted jump for all crew except the captain and warm up the engines. At that moment, hundreds of crew members working in various parts of the ship were forcefully inserted into escape jump pods and instantly teleported to nearby other ships. The surrounding ships soon noticed something wrong. Report. The Xihe has initiated crew jump. Calling Xihe, this is Huanyu. What are you doing? The Xihe is the spiritual leader of the Federation fleet. You can't go. Zhao Chang'an heard the call and replied bluntly, Xihe, copy that. Our automation is the highest. We have only 600 crew. What about you? Old battleships with tens of thousands of men each. Can you handle it? Compared to inexhaustible resources, these experienced crew members were the backbone of the Federation fleet. Xihe, warp drive at full power. Target center of the space-time tide. Zhao Chang'an commanded. Wangshu's voice echoed in the bridge. Captain, please evacuate. If you grant me full authority, I can pilot the Xihe alone. Zhao Chang'an smiled, faintly noncommittal. In a space-time tide, neither consciousness upload nor data backup is possible. Both crew and shipboard AI would face death. Warship crew could evacuate, but these core AIs with intelligence surpassing humans and emotions no less real would ultimately march toward destruction alongside the ship. Wangshu, I'm not going anywhere. Zhao Chang'an smiled. I chose to send the Xihe to die. How could I survive alone? The warp drive at the Zai's stern slowly lit up. Captain, do you think dying together like this is a happy ending or a sad ending? Wangshu suddenly asked. Call it happy, it's sad. Call it sad, it's also happy. Zhao Chang'an frowned in thought, then scratched his head. If you were even a little smart, you wouldn't ask such a stupid question. Amid their laughter and conversation, the Xihe plunged headlong into the alien swarm, charging toward the tide. Captain, want to see fireworks? Sure. Zhao Chang'an leaned back in his chair and released all authority. The next moment, all weapon systems on the Xihe deployed, and the attached Qinglong core combat ships ran at full power. At the same time, the remaining fleet behind opened fire with all their might, clearing a path for the lone Xihe. Brilliant fireworks paved a route straight to the turbulence. The warp-driven ship's speed far exceeded light, making the seemingly vast distance a mere instant. Zhao Chang'an sat there staring at the deepening darkness outside the porthole. Wangshu the Zai's final transmission and my farewell letter can be unsealed and sent to the Federation. Every active Federation warship stored a final transmission and farewell letters from its crew. Only at the moment of being lost in battle would these messages be unsealed and sent to the Federation. The time for the Xihe to send its message had come. Yes, Captain. After sending the relevant transmissions, Wangshu's holographic projection appeared beside Zhao Chang'an. Understood immediately. He opened the hand that had been resting on the chair and intertwined his fingers with Wangshu's holographic projection. The dazzling fireworks outside the window reflected in their eyes like a brilliant dancing galaxy. The Zai's final transmission also reached the Federation Command. Calling Federation Command, this is the Xihe. I cannot return. Please continue onward. In the surreal space-time tide, the central energy zone of the Xihe burst into a blinding blue light. A particle from a hyperdimension within the engine completely shed all constraints, collapsing into the current dimension in an instant, releasing an incalculable amount of energy. The light of the melting hyperdimensional heavy particle engine was dazzling and wholly outshining the darkness and vastness of the universe in an instant. Resolved to advance, plunging into the unknown abyss. For dreams eternal, like a moth flying into the flame. Never fading, a silver star shining with cold light. Hard to look back, softly bidding farewell to the dawn of home. Drip, drip, drip. Awakened by the personal terminal on his wrist, Zhao Chang'an opened his hazy eyes. What greeted him was no longer the bridge of the Xihe, but a patch of verdant grassland. Zhao Chang'an felt somewhat bewildered. His body ached all over, and his mind was a chaotic blur. He vaguely recalled that he and the Xihe had plunged into a temporal tide. The temporal tide was undoubtedly the most terrifying catastrophe in the universe. Objects and people caught in it would be twisted and torn, then discarded like garbage into another time and space, their severely deformed remains left behind. All matter would be compressed, shattered, and reassembled in the distorted space, then abruptly appear in some corner of the universe after traversing vast stretches of time. Those lucky enough would find relief in the initial twisting phase, while the unlucky would be transported to bizarre places, such as the surface of a star or the center of a black hole. The thought that someone could use the temporal tide to interfere with the Federation's homeworld jump made the origins of those strange creatures increasingly complex. Zhao Chang'an lowered his head and felt his body, finding his military uniform intact, which relieved him. It seemed that because his own target volume was small, he had suffered little damage in the temporal tide, allowing him to survive and appear on the surface of a habitable planet with extreme luck. But if he survived because of his small size, then the massive Xihe would it be? He raised his wrist, and a holographic screen projected out, showing hundreds of messages, all with the same phrase. Wangshu calling. Wangshu calling. Zhao Chang'an brought the wristband to his lips. Zhao Chang'an receiving. Captain, you've been unconscious for 13 hours. Surviving the temporal chaos is a stroke of luck. Wangshu's relieved voice came through. Wangshu, are you alright? Zhao Chang'an asked anxiously. Very bad. The hyperdimensional particle engine exploded from within. The energy impact was too violent. Over 95% of the hull is damaged. Only the main keel, forged from adamantium, barely holds the ship together. The remaining nuclear fusion and antimatter energy pods can only power less than 3 of Zai's functions. My computational power has been reduced to 100 millionth of its original level. Zhao Chang'an's heart tightened. The Federation's strongest warship Xihe had never suffered more than 7 damage, even when ambushed by combined fleets of 7 hostile civilizations. Now 95 meant it was almost completely crippled. Wangshu, this is a habitable planet. There must be a Federation intelligence base here. Help me locate the nearest one. I need to contact headquarters. Zhao Chang'an opened the map module on his wristband, but saw the words information missing. Was there a planet in the universe not yet registered in the Federation's database? This feeling was as absurd as discovering an unopened treasure chest on a fully explored map. Captain, you will never contact the Federation again. Based on my investigation over the past 13 hours, we have been thrown into another time and space by the temporal chaos. Zhao Chang'an's eyes widened. What? Where did my Federation go? It's gone. The Federation counselor's daughter is still waiting for me to marry her. Wangshu's displeased voice came through the wristband. Captain, as I recall, she only glanced at you at the banquet. No, she looked at me. She must like me. Captain, if you had any shame, you wouldn't say something so shameless. Zhao Chang'an's face flushed, then he asked, so where are we? We didn't travel into an anime world, did we? Captain, there are 2 decommissioned antique atomic bombs in Zai's warehouse. If you want, I can give you a second original. Then forget it. Zhao Chang'an scratched his head. So is Xihe currently in high orbit around this planet? No, Captain. The location you are in is extremely strange. It cannot even be called a planet. This is a flat continent. Currently, Xihe is hovering millions of kilometers above this continent. Zhao Chang'an's eyes widened abruptly. A flat continent? Yes. On this continent, gravity is uniformly distributed downward. The edges are so vast they stretch beyond sight. Wang Shu's answer made Zhao Chang'an question reality even more. That's absurd, he said with skepticism, glancing at the sky. Since the laws of physics are different, why can Xihe still operate? It's not clear yet, but all of Xi's functions and technologies are unaffected. Zhao Chang'an had a sudden flash of inspiration. Wangshu are the sun and moon here the same size, one bright and one dim. Yes. The sky is round, and the earth is flat. The sun and moon follow laws. Too strange. This feels so much like the mythology of the Federation. In the old mythology of the Federation, the sky was like a dome, and the earth was flat like a chessboard, with the sun and moon shining together, embodying the laws of the universe. Ending his wild thoughts, Zhao Chang'an began to consider his safety. Wangshu, can I return to the ship now? No. The current physical laws have not been fully studied. The journey back over millions of kilometers could easily lead to an accident. We cannot take that risk. But rest assured, I have already deployed a barely functional Bombard-class aerospace strategic platform. It has arrived in the airspace above your coordinates. Zhao Chang'an pondered for a moment. Wangshu, we need to set 5 goals. Ultimate goal, return to the Federation. Long-term goal, fully repair Xihe. Short-term goal, restore Xi's energy. Immediate goal, initially explore this world and find suitable energy sources. Acknowledged, Captain. The corresponding goals have been added to the schedule. Zhao Chang'an looked up at the sky. The Bombard-class aerospace mothership was suspended high above, invisible to the naked eye. As the Federation's land combat support platform, it would deploy ground forces and combat machines for surface landing operations when the planet could not be destroyed or the extermination order could not be used. Wangshu, I make the following deployment. Please record in full, integrate resources within the Bombard, initiate repair procedures, prioritize repairing less damaged combat units. Deploy a Xihe siege tank to my location for basic protection of the command post. If any intact powered armor can be found, deploy it as well. Captain, powered armor is far more delicate than tanks. No intact units have been found yet. I can only deploy the Xihe siege tank first. Estimated arrival on the surface in 10 minutes. The Xihe siege tank, the Federation's vanguard of land warfare, equipped with a 182mm electromagnetic rail, main gun, and 221mm electromagnetic rail autocannons. As long as there was no hostile civilization above level 3 on this planet, it would be enough to guarantee Zhao Chang'an's personal safety. Report. The auxiliary thruster of the drop pod is damaged. The landing point is deviated. Estimated landing point 34 degrees south by west, 820 meters. Sure enough, on a ship with 95 damage, the equipment extracted was bound to have some problems. The wide area radar guidance system has not yet been restored, Wangshu said with regret in her voice. Captain, I suggest you run to the landing site. Zhao Chang'an shook his head helplessly, knowing this was a critical time. He used his personal terminal to determine the direction and started running. The energy and nutrients in this world seemed exceptionally abundant. Plants were generally tall and lush. Though it was a temperate climate, it felt like a tropical rainforest. Zhao Chang'an struggled to cross waist-high weeds and break through obstructing branches. Perhaps due to different physical laws, every step felt unusually heavy. This was even more abnormal. He had received injections of the perfect human gene serum, which, though not as powerful as combat-specific serums, still surpassed the peak physical capabilities of ordinary humans. For instance, on the Federation's homeworld, with his leg strength, he could jump at least 3 meters in a single leap. The terrifying gravity that made even him struggle. How massive was this continent? Soon ahead in the sky, a comet with a tail of fire descended, then activated its retro rockets above the forest. A deafening roar echoed through the entire woods. Hearing the roar of the retro rocket engines, Zhao Chang'an sensed trouble. Wangshu, where's my anti-gravity? Short-range space jump. Magnetic harpoon towing. The Federation Army has hundreds of luxurious landing methods. Captain, right now the internal structure and facilities of the Xihe are twisted like a pretzel by the temporal tide. You should be grateful there's still a functional chemical fuel landing pod. The roar of the retro rocket engines stirred the entire forest. Countless animals hidden in the woods began. A silver wolf, pure white as snow, dashed out from the trees and stood right in front of Zhao Chang'an. Man and wolf locked eyes, both seeing surprise and curiosity in each other's gaze. This wolf was not as huge as Zhao Chang'an had imagined. Its size was only slightly larger than an ordinary wolf, giving him the illusion that he could take it down with a sliding tackle. In fact, with gene enhancement, Zhao Chang'an's basic physical abilities completely overpowered any wild animal. Plus, humans were considered medium to large predators. This wolf seemed to pose no threat, but he didn't let his guard down. In the Federation's long history of landing on unknown planets, too many investigators had died from underestimating local creatures. The silver wolf stared at Zhao Chang'an for a long time, seemingly intimidated by the unique design of his military uniform. Finally, the wolf opened its mouth slightly, and 3 cyan wind blades sliced through the air toward him. Zhao Chang'an's heart skipped a beat. He slid into a low stance, two wind blades grazing past his forehead and cutting down several trees behind him. The third blade struck his chest, but the specially made military uniform instantly hardened, completely blocking the sharp cut and absorbing most of the kinetic energy into the suit's energy core. Spiritual energy. Xuanhuan. Demonic beast. Although the expensive captain's uniform saved his life, the impact still pushed him back 2 steps. Ignoring any possible damage to his uniform, Zhao Chang'an was completely captivated by the Silver Wolf's special attack. He never imagined that elements from the Federation's popular novels, Xuanhuan's spiritual energy, would appear before him in reality. Oh heavens, a demonic beast spitting wind blades. This little beast had no martial ethics. It came to deceive, to ambush. An old comrade without a weapon. That's not good. That's not good. I urge. This little beast should take a good look at itself, reflect deeply, and never commit such petty tricks again. On the universe, harmony is paramount. One must have martial ethics, not engage in internal strife. The original content is empty or non-existent. Skip. As the captain of a Federation fleet ship, Zhao Chang'an was injected with the perfect human series genetic agent, which could fully reinforce and restructure bone and muscle structures, overclock brain, computational capacity, and perfectly balance physical prowess and intellect. However, faced with the current situation, Zhao Chang'an still wished he had instead opted for the Super Soldier series. Although its enhancement of the brain was mediocre, being a little dull was acceptable if it allowed him to transform into a humanoid tyrannosaur and pummel the Silver Wolf before him into submission. But the Federation had never considered the possibility of a warship captain needing to engage in close-quarters combat. In truth, as the command core of a vessel, the captain required no personal defense weapons. Once interstellar warfare erupted, either you obliterated the enemy ship with a single shot, or were obliterated by theirs, dying quickly and peacefully. In an instant, the Silver Wolf spat out 2 wind blades. Zhao Chang'an swiftly dodged one, yet the other swept horizontally toward his torso. Just as it was about to strike his waist, the captain's uniform on his waist illuminated, releasing the kinetic energy it had just absorbed. The brief but fierce shockwave nearly neutralized the wind blade's power entirely. Even though the Federation had not equipped the captain with personal weapons, a single military uniform was still packed with various black technologies, enough to contend with this highly dangerous unknown beast. Finally, after enduring another 3 wind blades, the unmistakable sound of tracks echoed through the forest. The Xihe fortress breaking tank was approaching. The Silver Wolf, drawn by the noise behind, turned its head to see a colossal steel behemoth bearing down Xihe fortress breaking tank. It let out a warning roar, but the steel giant across from it paid no heed. Whizzing 3 wind blades slashed toward the colossus, yet they only sparked against its armor, leaving not even a scratch. On the side of the tank's main turret, an electromagnetic machine gun aimed at the Silver Wolf. Sensing the threat from the barrel, the wolf opened its mouth and roared at the gun. The next moment, with a faint hum of electric current, a projectile accelerated by the electromagnetic rail breached Mach 7, striking the Silver Wolf's head with precision. Its entire skull burst apart like a watermelon, splattering against the ground and surrounding tree trunks behind. At your age, still so reckless. Daring to take an electromagnetic machine gun round to the face. You clearly have no idea. Wiping the brain matter that had splashed onto his uniform, Zhao Chang'an stepped forward to examine the Xihe tank before him. The vanguard of the Federation Army's ground forces, a Xihe yellow steel armor complemented by an ion shield capable of blocking nearly all conventional artillery, tracks on both sides that could traverse almost any terrain, a laser turret on the chassis to slice through obstructing trees, rocks, and infantry daring to approach. A 182mm electromagnetic ion railgun that could load up to 12 types of ammunition on both sides of the main turret. 221. 4mm caliber machine guns able to sweep all blind spots, providing low-altitude anti-air and terminal interception protection for the vehicle. Although the Federation's anti-gravity technology had long been perfected for this pure ground armored unit, the cheap, sturdy, and reliable tracks remained the first choice, balancing economy and combat effectiveness. Looking up at close range, Zhao Chang'an felt the awe and pressure emanating from the Xihe. Having graduated from the highest military academy and becoming the captain of the Xihe, he had never before had the chance to get this close to a Xihe tank. After all, there were few planets left in the cosmos that required the Federation military to conduct landing operations. Stretching his limbs, Zhao Chang'an was about to climb onto the tank when Wangshu called out to him, "Captain, there may be zero element within this Silver Wolf's body. Please check for any unique organs or objects." Hearing this, Zhao Chang'an's eyes widened. The renowned zero element was a name that thundered in his ears. It was a mysterious substance that could alter the laws of the universe. Coincidentally, just after the Star Federation had discovered a small amount of zero element in a forgotten star system, the crisis of aberrant creatures erupted. Zhao Chang'an suddenly had an absurd thought. Wangshu, could the so-called zero element actually be the spiritual energy from fantasy novels? After a rare moment of contemplation, Wangshu replied, "According to the data I have compiled on fantasy novels, if spiritual energy indeed existed in those works, there is a 78% probability that spiritual energy and zero element are the same substance." Understanding the importance of the investigation, Zhao Chang'an began searching through the silver wolf's corpse, which resembled a splattered tomato. Soon from the burst brain matter, he retrieved a tiny round crystal. Unfortunately, lacking research equipment nearby, Zhao Chang'an could only bring the crystal and enter the Qilin vehicle through the top hatch. "The Qilin onboard intelligence system greets you, Commander. What are your orders?" Zhao Chang'an turned his gaze to the supplies hanging on one side of the cabin. The Qilin was a single-occupant vehicle, likely a stock unit from the Xihe. The crew equipment still hung brand new on the cabin walls. Donning the driver's helmet, a blue driving system interface materialized before his eyes. With two beeps, the helmet connected to the tank and the Wangshu terminal respectively. Settling into the driver's seat, Zhao Chang'an said, "Initiate vehicle self-check." Self-check initiated. Ion reactor operating normally, fire control system, normal weapon system, normal transmission system, normal. Ready to depart. The intelligence system's voice came through the helmet. Activating the Qilin's ion shield, Zhao Chang'an let out a long sigh. Ever since arriving in this unfamiliar world, a profound unknown had shrouded his heart. Now seated inside the Qilin's cabin, he finally felt a trace of reassurance. That sense of security was so unadorned. The next plan was to pilot the Qilin to explore the surrounding area, collect more beast crystals, and gather information about this world. The onboard intelligence was fully capable of autonomously driving the tank and executing a series of actions from target acquisition to elimination. But since he was here anyway, Zhao Chang'an preferred to experience the joy of driving himself. With that, Zhao Chang'an began piloting the Qilin forward. Though all driving operations were conducted through the helmet, coordinating various modules simultaneously was no easy task. Fortunately, it was not a brutal planetary battlefield, and Zhao Chang'an had ample time to practice. Thus, a technological marvel embodying millennia of wisdom traveled through the vast primeval forest. Beneath the Qilin tank's chassis, two purple laser beams swept alternately, severing the obstructing trees. However, the Qilin tank's formidable presence soon attracted uninvited guests. The tank's neutrino radar indicated two enormous life forms rapidly approaching the Qilin. Why use enormous? Before a tank, all creatures are just lumps. Merely a difference between big lumps and small lumps. Before he could make out the two lumps, two trees, uprooted by brute force, crashed toward the Qilin. The moment they contacted the ion shield, they were incinerated into floating ashes. Subsequently, two black bears emerged among the trees, howling to the sky and charging toward the vehicle. Could it be that they mistook the Qilin tank for a giant beast intruding on their territory? Zhao Chang'an muttered to himself that this was perfect timing, then rotated the turret and loaded an ion high-explosive shell. With an ion sphere gleaming blue flying out the moment it struck one of the black bears, the inherently unstable ion cluster detonated violently. A small orb of light flared, its blazing white radiance illuminating the entire forest, while the terrifying heat engulfed and annihilated the other bear. The blue glow of the plasma faded, leaving only a charred circular crater in the forest. The soil on the crater's surface had crystallized under the high temperature, with colorful glass shimmering in the sunlight and steam rising. Such was the power of the Qilin tank's main cannon. One shot left nothing but molten crystals everywhere. Thinking this, the smile on Zhao Chang'an's face gradually turned into a fire-covered grin. "Beast, you better not let me catch you. If I spot you, you'll have no good fruit juice to drink." Just as Zhao Chang'an was reveling in triumph, Wangshu's voice sounded in his helmet. "Captain, since you're a country bumpkin with little experience, I'll let this shot broaden your horizons." Wangshu's displeased voice came through the helmet. "But in future battles, try to leave the corpses intact. If the beast crystal truly is zero element, it will greatly aid in repairing the Xihe." Zhao Chang'an was choked by Wangshu's country bumpkin remark, and his smug smile froze. A little Wang, although leaving a corpse intact is impossible, that was an ion cannon. What man can resist an ion cannon? Zhao Chang'an stroked the cabin panel of the Qilin's cockpit. "I think we should stop contacting each other. I'm afraid little Qi might misunderstand." "Damn man, go die." On his first night in the alien world, Zhao Chang'an had no intention of engaging in any ritualistic or commemorative activities. Instead, he wisely hunkered down within the ion shield of the Qilin tank. Without ascertaining the environment, who would dare to act recklessly? Beware lest a ritual become a relic of death. Lying in the cockpit, Zhao Chang'an toyed with the 24 beast crystals he had collected along the way, all of which he had taken down with the electromagnetic autocannon. The defenses of those beasts were generally weak. Before the metal storm unleashed by the electromagnetic autocannon, they were blown apart, fragments scattered everywhere. Just as drowsiness began to overtake Zhao Chang'an, the onboard AI's voice suddenly sounded. "Warning, thermal radar has detected several humanoid life forms. Distance 1217 meters to the southeast. Hearing this, Zhao Chang'an instantly perked up. He sprang to his feet and maneuvered the Qilin to advance at full speed. Finally, I've found people. If he could never find anyone, he might well become an interstellar Robinson Crusoe, spending his life in solitude on a desolate world. At that moment in the vast, darkening mountains, a wounded youth was running with all his might. Though he was already at his last gasp, he dared not pause even for a moment. Behind him were 3 women in flowing blue robes, each holding a long sword. The talismans on their boots glowed with cyan light, making every step they took extraordinarily light and swift as the wind. Lu Qingfeng, what supreme treasure did you obtain within the secret realm? Hand it over immediately, and I might spare your life. The youth named Lu Qingfeng gritted his teeth, unswayed by her words, darting swiftly through the various obstacles in the forest. However, the cyan talismans on his legs gradually dimmed, and the youth lost his initial speed. Immediately, a red talisman flew from behind, detonating into a blazing fireball that blasted him away, crashing through several trees before he finally came to a halt. The 3 women quickly reached the youth. Lu Qingfeng, why struggle? Release the ban on the spirit ring quickly, and we promise not to kill you. Lu Qingfeng spat contemptuously, a white foam mixed with blood clinging to the robes of the leading woman, slowly sliding down. Nangong Ziyun, I risked my life to save you in the secret realm, all because I had obtained the inheritance. Now you want to kill me for the treasure. Young lady, why waste words with him? The woman beside her raised her sword, pressing the tip close to Lu Qingfeng's throat. Kill him first, then seize the ring. Facing the blade, the youth showed no sign of dodging, his eyes gleaming with an indomitable light. Killing Nangong Ziyun would mean an irreconcilable enmity with the Nangong family. While he was still weak, provoking a faction with a golden core cultivator was something he wished to avoid. But at this moment, Nangong Ziyun was clearly giving him no chance. Would he really have to borrow the power of Han? Just then, the remnant soul within Lu Qingfeng's mind suddenly spoke. Qingfeng, do not be hasty. If it comes to a complete deadlock, I will act. However, there is still a turning point in today's matter. Sure enough, no sooner had the remnant soul's words faded than Nangong Ziyun kicked Lu Qingfeng away and turned to stare warily into the depths of the forest. A blue orb of light radiating an unstoppable momentum was rolling toward the 3 of them. The ion shield of the Qilin tank. Spiritual energy protection. The spiritual energy around it is so fierce that I can't even see inside. Nangong Ziyun's face showed a hint of shock. Whoever this is, they must be at least at the late golden core stage. Quickly contact father. The woman beside her pulled out a jade talisman and crushed it. Junior, Lu Qingfeng begs the senior to save me. The youth seized this last hope and shouted loudly. The other woman stepped in front of Lu Qingfeng. Senior, this is a matter of the Nangong family. Please stand aside and do not intervene. Inside the cockpit, Zhao Chang'an was astonished. Wangshu, the language they speak, is also the Federation language. What a coincidence. Yes, according to my research, their language is an early form of the Federation language, closer to ancient Federation dialects with slight differences in pronunciation and structure from the modern version. Zhao Chang'an nodded, then frowned. So to communicate with them, I'll need to carefully choose my words. Soon a transcript was transmitted to Zhao Chang'an's helmet. It's been compiled. Just read it as his captain. Zhao Chang'an activated the tank's loudspeaker system. The civilization that had conquered the stars produced amplifiers of the highest quality. The transmitted sound had negligible distortion. To the 4 outside, it seemed the golden core cultivator's voice boomed like a bell full of authority. What is this conflict about? The leading woman spoke first. I am Nangong Ziyun, the eldest daughter of the Nangong family. I am pursuing a traitor who has rebelled against the family by the patriarch's orders. Senior, please do not shield a mere menial. Seeing this, the youth steeled his heart. Since you have hunted me this far, I will not let you gain it easily. Senior, the transmission treasure is in my spirit ring. They want to kill me and take it. Zhao Chang'an listened and frowned slightly. One side claimed to be hunting a traitor, the other said he was being targeted for his treasure. This doesn't add up, does it? Who is deceiving me? After a moment's thought, Zhao Chang'an shook his head. In that case, I'll not interfere. I'll be on my way. Having just arrived in this world, Zhao Chang'an had no desire to court any trouble. If this truly was the cultivation world depicted in Federation novels, then murder for treasure was alt. Nangong Ziyun's pupils contracted. She hadn't expected that brat Lu Qingfeng would dare to reveal his inherited treasure so directly. If she let this golden core cultivator leave by tomorrow, the news that the Nangong family possesses an heirloom treasure would spread across southern Qingzhou. An innocent man with a jade is a crime. The Nangong family would be reduced to a piece of meat on the chopping block, devoured by powerful clans. Nangong Ziyun knew this matter could no longer be resolved peacefully. The best course now was to delay this golden core cultivator until her father arrived. Her father was at the peak golden core stage. Eliminating this cultivator to silence him would be effortless. This place was not far from the Nangong residence. If a golden core cultivator flew at full speed, he could reach here in 50 breaths. Add to that the heirloom treasure her father had gifted her. She could buy time against this golden core cultivator for a while. It was worth a try. So Nangong Ziyun shouted, "Senior, you cannot leave." The three women simultaneously hurled red talismans toward the Qilin tank's shield, and three massive fireballs exploded. The explosions, powerful enough to shred an ordinary person, struck the Qilin tank's ion shield. The blue shield only rippled a few times, its brightness dimming slightly. Seeing this, Lu Chengfeng cried out, "Senior, be careful. They are buying time." The Nangong family head Nangong Shao is already on his way. He's at the Golden Core peak. Wangshu, what is the combat power of a Golden Core stage? Wangshu sifted through vast amounts of cultivation novel data. In different cultivation novels, the Golden Core stage has varying power standards, but generally speaking it is a very troublesome existence. The Qilin's main cannon can theoretically threaten a Golden Core cultivator, but Golden Core cultivators are extremely mobile. The Qilin was designed to fight armored targets and military fortifications. Engaging a Golden Core could put us at a disadvantage. After listening to Wangshu's analysis, Zhao Chang'an looked at the holographic screen beside him, which showed 3 areas of minor shield deactivation currently being re-energized. That level of force was equivalent to a standard Federation grenade. An ordinary infantryman would have been blown. Zhao Chang'an's expression turned cold. Having served in the Federation military, he was no soft-hearted soul. Since they dared to attack him, then life and death were in fate's hands. He would show no mercy. The electromagnetic autocannons on both sides whined with electric current, weaving a deadly curtain of metal. One of the women failed to dodge in time, struck by a series of metal projectiles. Several gruesome blood holes burst from her body, and she collapsed on the spot, entering an infant-like sleep. Zhao Chang'an clicked his tongue in amazement. 21. 4mm caliber autocannon. An ordinary infantryman without an exoskeleton suit hit by even one round would likely be cut in half. Yet this world's people could still leave a whole corpse. Truly, the physical resilience of cultivation world humans was extraordinary. The leading woman, Nangong Ziyun, sensed the danger first and dodged swiftly, but a projectile grazed her arm. What kind of magical artifact is this? Its power is so great. Nangong Ziyun was inwardly astounded and began to regret underestimating this mysterious Golden Core cultivator. Silently, she prayed that her father would arrive as soon as possible. The other woman sprang forward and activated a yellow talisman. A thick wall of earth rose from the ground, shielding the two within. "Miss, hold on. The patriarch will be here soon." Meanwhile, Lu Chengfeng, that sly fox, had somehow slipped behind the tank, already out of the combat zone. Zhao Chang'an looked at the earthen wall that had risen from nowhere and smirked. A military fortification from a cultivation world. Oh, young ladies, guess what the Federation builds tanks for? Armor-piercing, high-explosive, incendiary round loaded. The 182mm plasma main cannon blazed, accompanied by a sharp whistling sound, as the thick earthen wall was directly pierced by the shell from the Qilin tank, sending up a cloud of dust. Boom! The projectile that had passed through the earthen wall exploded violently, countless high-temperature fragments and metal jets scattering in all directions like a storm of pear blossoms. A disheveled figure was blasted several meters away. It was Nangong Ziyun. Now her body was charred, covered in gruesome wounds torn open by shrapnel, and her left leg was twisted at an odd angle, clearly broken in the explosion. If not for her protective talisman barely shielding her from the calamity, she would have surely perished on the spot. As for the other one, he had already been plastered onto the ground behind the cover, instantly cremated by the dense high-temperature fragments. The youth hiding behind the ion shield watched in secret awe. Was this the power of a Golden Core cultivator? The three who had relentlessly pursued him were now 2 dead, and 1 crippled after just 2 exchanges. Truly terrifying. It seemed what old Hans said was true. Without entering the Golden Core realm, one was merely a mortal. Just then a purple figure streaked through the air. "How dare you harm my daughter? Do you think the Nangong family has no one?" A middle-aged man standing on a flying sword and surrounded by a shimmering purple protective aura flew through the air. "Ha ha ha, here comes a Golden Core." Zhao Chang'an looked at the display screen at the arrogant man flying high in the sky and felt a surge of rage. "Qilin, where the hell is your cannon? Shoot that bastard down." The next moment, the electromagnetic autocannon adjusted its angle, and a torrent of dense metal pellets surged toward Nangong Shao like a tidal wave. The previously unstoppable autocannon now met its match. Countless metal pellets slammed into the man's protective aura and were forcibly halted, suspended on the surface of the energy shield. Even though Zhao Chang'an had mentally prepared for the newcomer's combat prowess, this man's ability still exceeded his expectations. Forcing Mach 5 autocannon rounds to a stop with sheer protective aura was already on the level of a humanoid tank. Captain, after assessment, the Golden Core combat power in this world is above average among various cultivation novels. However, based on his tone, the newcomer is arrogant and unfamiliar with tanks, so he may not actively exploit his mobility. This is our opportunity. Zhao Chang'an couldn't help but laugh dryly. If Golden Cores are this strong, wouldn't a nascent soul be able to punch through a tank with 1 hit? In a society without spiritual energy and technology, a foundation establishment cultivator can break an army, a golden core can slaughter a city, and a nascent soul can annihilate a nation. Wang Shu replied carefully. The next moment the man landed on the ground, tossed a bottle of pills to his injured daughter, and then turned his gaze to the Qilin tank's ion shield. He narrowed his eyes, seeing through the ion sphere to the tank's body within. This unfamiliar artifact aroused his caution. I am Nangong Shao, head of the Nangong family. I have no desire to hold a grudge against you. If you let me take the young man, I can, on behalf of the Nangong family, let bygones be bygones. Upon hearing this, Zhao Chang'an fell into thought. Perhaps avoiding a direct confrontation with the Golden Core cultivator would be the best choice. Wang Shu, what do you think? Captain, based on tone analysis, the phrase let bygones be bygones has an 84.2 probability of being a lie. Zhao Chang'an hesitated no longer. He aimed the main cannon at Nangong Shao, while the autocannons on both sides opened fire fiercely. With a wave of his hand, Nangong Shao deflected the autocannon rounds, his expression turning cold. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Watch me dismantle your artifact. With that, Nangong Shao closed in and swung his sword. A dazzling crescent-shaped sword aura slashed into the ion shield, sending sparks flying everywhere. Beep. Shield sector T6, a moderate degradation. Energy replenishing. Zhao Chang'an watched Nangong Shao's distance. Not yet. Frustrated that his strike had failed, Nangong Shao channeled his full spiritual energy, stepped forward, and unleashed an even more powerful sword aura. Beep. Shield sector T6, severe degradation. Energy replenishing. Seeing that Nangong Shao had unknowingly drawn close to the Qilin's main cannon, Zhao Chang'an couldn't help but sneer. As a golden core powerhouse encountering such an unfamiliar object, he showed no caution, but instead pressed forward, arrogantly relying on his cultivation. Then let him taste the power of the main cannon. The entire ion shield was deactivated. The ion reactor, operating at full capacity, channeled all its energy into the electromagnetic rails, and rings of blinding blue light flared up. Deuterium core, high explosive armor-piercing round loaded. Zhao Chang'an sneered. Let's see which is tougher, the frontal armor of a main battle tank or your protective aura. Sensing the immense energy gathering in the tubular object before him, Nangong Shao inwardly cursed and tried to step back, but the next moment his protective aura blazed with dazzling light. Even a golden core's protective aura, under the impact of the high-hardness deuterium core projectile, was as fragile as a window pane. The narrow sword-like projectile pierced through, then struck Nangong Shao's torso at several tens of times the speed of sound. A bloody hole was punched through Nangong Shao's right lung and the center of his chest. With a clear ringing of his sword, he abandoned his daughter and fled into the distance on his flying sword. Taking a deuterium core high-explosive armor-piercing round at close range and still able to fly away. If such a monster appeared in the original universe, the Federation would surely have him captured and sliced up for research, wouldn't they? The next moment, looking at the signal on the radar, Zhao Chang'an couldn't help but chuckle. This fellow flew over 5 kilometers, then suppressed his spiritual energy fluctuations and hid in the forest below to heal. Was he reluctant to part with his daughter or with his inherited treasure? For ordinary cultivators, completely suppressing all spiritual energy fluctuations would make them nearly undetectable to enemies. Unfortunately, the Qilin tank was equipped with 2 radar systems entirely different from spiritual energy. On the display of the neutrino radar and thermal radar, Nangong Shao was quite conspicuous at the moment, and a distance of over 5 kilometers was well within the reach of the Qilin tank's main cannon. Qilin, main cannon, full power charge. Ion fusion round standby. Expend 1 ammunition base. At that moment, deep in a dense forest, Nangong Shao had shut down all spiritual energy disturbances and was lurking in the shadows of the trees to heal. The right side of his chest had been torn open by the armor-piercing round, leaving a wound the size of a bowl on the front and an even larger cavity on the back. A layer of spiritual energy enveloped the shattered tissue and broken bone fragments, slowly mending them. Even if pills could restore 90% of his injuries, such severe damage would certainly affect the future potential of this body. Severing one's path to immortality was worse than killing their parents. Swallowing a third-grade healing pill, a ferocious glare filled Nangong Shao's eyes. You dare ruin my foundation. I will make you die a miserable death. The next moment, 10 blue points of light, with lightning speed, pierced through layers of branches and trees like the summons of the King of Hell, and detonated precisely on Nangong Shao's body. At Nangong Shao's original position, a blazing blue orb of light flared up, taking a full 5 seconds to dim and extinguish. When it faded, nothing remained except a layer of ash and the high-temperature fluid on the ground. Seeing Nangong Shao neutralized from long range on the radar, Zhao Chang'an finally relaxed. He peeked, and I sniped him in 1 shot. What more is there to say? A puzzled voice came from the helmet's onboard AI. General, are you calling the Qilin tank's 182mm main cannon a sniper? As soon as Zhao Chang'an opened the screen, he heard Wang Shu laugh. Zhao Chang'an, you went and called someone out for a sniper duel again. Zhao Chang'an didn't answer, instead telling the onboard AI, warm 2 bowls of wine and load 1 ammunition base of high-explosive ion rounds. He then arranged 10 rounds on the holographic screen. Wang Shu laughed again. You must have tricked another honest person into a sniper duel. Zhao Chang'an's eyes widened as he said, how can you slander a man's innocence like that? Innocence? I just saw with my own eyes how you tricked that golden core cultivator into retreating far away, then pummeled him. Zhao Chang'an's face flushed, crimson veins bulging on his forehead, as he argued, tactics aren't trickery. Tactics? In military affairs, can it be called trickery? Then followed a torrent of incomprehensible words, things like one-shot kill and can scope in, which made Wang Shu and the onboard AI burst into laughter, filling the cockpit with a cheerful atmosphere. Having eliminated Nangong, Zhao Chang'an turned his gaze toward Nangong's Yun outside the tank and unhesitatingly unleashed a burst of cannon fire. Keeping such a person around, for what, to celebrate the new year? Should that woman harbor any hidden schemes, his safety upon leaving the tank could not be guaranteed. Subsequently, Zhao Chang'an ordered the Qilin to retreat several meters, trained its 2 electromagnetic cannons on the youth, and only then climbed out of the tank. Zhao Chang'an circled around to clear the firing angle for the Qilin's cannons, making his way to the youth. He found him lying motionless on the ground, apparently having exhausted all his strength from prolonged flight and fallen into a deep slumber. Wang Shu is the arc countermeasure system in the Qilin's cockpit functioning properly? Zhao Chang'an first inquired and soon received an affirmative reply. The arc countermeasure system, by releasing certain energy barriers, allowed the reaction pile at the chassis center to discharge a momentary high current arc within the cockpit, annihilating any intruder or thief not recognized by the driving system. With this safeguard, Zhao Chang'an could safely bring the youth into the cockpit. Even if the youth harbored murderous intent, Wang Shu would instantly read his micro-expressions, and then the Qilin's high-energy arc would strike before he could act. Moreover, a standard protagonist template, one who barely survives a relentless pursuit, typically embodies gratitude and chivalry, not the behavior of an ungrateful wolf. Having reasoned this through, Zhao Chang'an fed the youth the healing pill from the woman's hand, then hoisted him with one hand and climbed back into the Qilin tank. After confirming that the youth showed no signs of awakening in the near future, Zhao Chang'an's gaze fell upon the ring on the youth's finger. Let me check if your inherited treasure is developing properly. 3 hours passed in the blink of an eye. When Lu Qingfeng opened his eyes, he found himself in an unfamiliar space. He hastily felt for his ring and, relieved to find it still there, turned his gaze to the oddly dressed man beside him. Thank you, senior, for saving my life. The youth was about to rise and bow when his head struck the cockpit ceiling with a resounding thud. Watching the youth immediately crouch down, holding his head, and then looking at the deep dent in the ceiling, Zhao Chang'an couldn't help but marvel, were cultivators' heads really that hard? My name is Zhao Chang'an. I've long been training in the mountains, hardly worthy of being called senior. I'm merely a few years older than you, so you may call me Brother Zhao. Zhao Chang'an recited the words Wang Shu had prepared. The youth gave a slight bow. Then I with respect obey your command, Brother Zhao. Then, after a moment of hesitation, Lu Qingfeng asked, Brother Zhao, it would be easy for you to kill me and take my treasure. Are you truly not interested in this inherited treasure? Just moments ago, the remnant soul in his mind had told him everything Zhao Chang'an had done, feeding him the pill and examining the ring, but never once harboring any evil intent. Such a pure-hearted person was rare as a lantern in the dark in this eastern land where hearts had grown cold. Unaware that his surreptitious handling of the ring had been observed by the ever-present old man, Zhao Chang'an began to put on airs. We cultivators always seek to live with a clear conscience. Since the inheritance did not choose me, it means it is not my fate. I cannot act against my Dao heart. Lu Qingfeng let out a dry laugh, trying to rise and bow. Brother Zhao, your noble character is truly admirable. This great kindness, I have no way to repay it. Zhao Chang'an, quick of eye and hand, promptly blocked the ceiling from suffering another blow. Just as he was about to say no repayment was needed, Wang Shu's voice came through his helmet. Ask him for spirit stones. The obedient captain immediately changed his tune. No repayment is actually welcome. I'm a bit short on funds lately. Brother Lu, would you be willing to spare some spirit stones? The brotherly harmony suddenly fell silent. The awkwardness was palpable. You want spirit stones? Lu Qingfeng was taken aback, then his mouth twitched uncontrollably. Was Brother Zhao not greedy? He asked for spirit stones outright. Was he greedy? He showed no malice toward the inherited treasure. Lu Qingfeng took out his ring, bit his finger, and dripped blood onto it, opening the ring's seal. The cultivation jade slip inside has already merged into my mind, but the remaining thousands of high-grade spirit stones, I give them all to you, Brother Zhao, as a token of my gratitude. Zhao Chang'an opened his pocket holding the ring, while making a show of refusal. This is too precious. I really shouldn't. Lu Qingfeng was puzzled if he shouldn't. Why was he tugging it so forcefully toward his own bosom? After accepting the ring through the pretense of refusal, Zhao Chang'an asked, "Does the Nangong family have any other golden core cultivators?" Only Nangong Shao was one. But since he retreated in defeat, he will likely return with reinforcements. It's best we leave soon. Lu Qingfeng's eyes flashed with indignation. I will remember the Nangong family's persecution. One day I will personally settle the score. Zhao Chang'an scratched his head. To be honest, when he fled, I had already killed him from a great distance. Now I'm rather interested in his golden core. If the cultivation world had aerial photography technology, it would surely capture a strange sight on the edge of the vast mountain range. Amidst the once lush and verdant forest, a stark crater now appeared, its edges lined with charred trees, the ground covered in colorful glass. The crater was not a perfect circle, but an irregular pattern formed by 10 overlapping circles. Indeed, this was the pit created by Zhao Chang'an's 10 consecutive sniper shots. Now standing on the glassy ground, Zhao Chang'an held a golden orb and examined it closely. Wanshu, my guess was right. The golden core isn't easily melted. Now follow my orders. Immediately deploy the anti-gravity cargo pod to bring these golden cores, beast crystals, and rings back to the main ship. Store them properly and quickly clear a usable research bay. Meanwhile, monitor the anti-gravity return journey for any functional anomalies and check if our instruments are affected by the different physical laws. Given the millions of kilometers of altitude difference and the unknown physical laws of this other world, Zhao Chang'an would not risk boarding the ship personally until he confirmed the return method was safe. Acknowledged, Captain. Your orders have been incorporated into the follow-up plan. Entering deployment sequence. Estimated arrival in 5 minutes. Turning around, Zhao Chang'an saw Lu Qingfeng sitting astride the Qilin tank's turret, running his hands all over it. Brother Zhao, is this your magical artifact? Lu Qingfeng's eyes sparkled with bright light. Though its appearance is unique, it possesses an extraordinary elegance. See, that's the allure of machinery to men. For a creature that can stare at an excavator for an entire afternoon, a tank is practically the dream lover. Zhao Chang'an smiled. This is called a tank. Do you like it? Lu Qingfeng nodded frantically, like a child wanting a toy car. I love it. Zhao Chang'an suddenly felt like teasing him. If you had to choose between 30,000 spirit stones and a tank, which would you pick? Without hesitation, Lu Qingfeng replied, the tank, of course. Zhao Chang'an smiled slightly. And if you had to choose between a Dao companion and a tank? At the mention of a wife, Lu Qingfeng blushed and began to hesitate. Seeing this, Zhao Chang'an sighed. Young man, you're still not firm enough. Let me break it down for you. Your Dao companion is soft and warm, emotionally unstable, can break your heart, needs your protection, is easily heartbroken, minds you associating with other women, and expects you to remember her birthday. But the tank? Its cold and hard performance is extremely stable, can break the enemy's heart, literally protects you, hardly ever breaks, doesn't mind you driving other tanks, and remembers the enemy's death anniversaries. As Zhao Chang'an explained, Lu Qingfeng's eyes grew increasingly fervent and bright. Brother Zhao, you speak the truth. The tank is truly wonderful. That was the look of a youth gradually strengthening his faith. Soon the anti-gravity pod arrived, a small compact box. According to Wanshu, it was the most intact anti-gravity pod they could find. Zhao Chang'an placed the small items inside, then turned to look behind him. Lu Qingfeng was intensely curious about this high-tech little box, eager to touch it, but Zhao Chang'an stopped him. Don't touch it. Once my new equipment is deployed, it'll give you this tank. How about that? Really? A magical artifact that can rival a golden core cultivator given away so casually. Brother Zhao, you must be joking. Lu Qingfeng's eyes shone, having completely forgotten the value of the thousands of high-grade spirit stones he had just given. Really? Zhao Chang'an nodded solemnly. A protagonist like Lu Qingfeng with a heart full of sincerity was naturally the perfect target for investment. However, the tank's ion reactor could run for 720 years. If Lu Qingfeng didn't cultivate diligently, one tank passed down through 8 generations. The person dies, but the vehicle remains. Little did he know that this playful act of Zhao Chang'an would one day give rise to a sword cultivator who rode a tank through the skies. That night, a campfire blazed. The aroma of rabbit meat filled the air. Lu Qingfeng somehow produced another ring and pulled out several jars of fine wine. The two brothers drank heartily. After 3 rounds of wine, Zhao Chang'an was still somewhat sober, while Lu Qingfeng had already started bragging. Zhao Chang'an rambled about various things, occasionally fishing for information from Lu Qingfeng, who with a loose tongue spilled all his secrets. Brother Zhao, let me tell you. In my cultivation jade slip, there's an old man who claims to be a tribulation transcendence expert. He says I have the bearing of an emperor. When I become emperor, he'll definitely treat you to the finest food and drink. That bitch Nangong Ziyun. I risked my life to save her in the secret realm, and then she hunted me down. Unbelievable. Hick. All the intelligence Zhao Chang'an extracted was meticulously recorded by Wanshu. For instance, the power system of this world. Qi refining foundation establishment golden core nascent soul spirit transformation body integration return to void Mahayana tribulation transcendence emperor realm. 10 realms in total, each stronger than the last. A cultivator at the golden core realm could already contend with a tank, which gave Wangshu a sense of crisis. However, the captain was now also drunk, arms around Lu Qingfeng, the two snoring thunderously. Wangshu let out a long sigh, remotely commanded the Qilin to approach, and activated its shield to protect them. The next morning, Zhao Chang'an was roused by the electric shock from his wristwatch, and mumbled drowsily, "Wangshu, is your surname Yang by any chance?" Then pushing Lu Qingfeng's foot off his face, he endured the throbbing hangover headache, and staggered to the drop point. Soon a miniature anti-gravity delivery pod slowly descended to the designated location. Opening the pod's casing, a ring with a silver metallic luster lay quietly inside. "Captain, since you are still unable to use spiritual energy, I have modified this ring. Now you can activate it through genetic recognition." Wangshu's voice sounded in his ear. To have the ring modified so quickly, it seems Xihe has at least managed to repair one basic factory unit, Zhao Chang'an mused, stroking his chin. "You guessed correctly, Captain. After a night of repairs by the nanobot swarm, we now have a fully functional research pod and a basic factory unit that can operate." Wangshu said, her tone brimming with pride. Whether it was his imagination, Zhao Chang'an felt that since arriving in this cultivation world, Wangshu had become much more human-like. Dropping the matter, Zhao Chang'an opened the ring, and a square spatial portal materialized behind which lay neatly stacked supplies. "So amazing." Zhao Chang'an reached out to touch the edge of the spatial portal, which emitted a humming sound. Although the Federation also possessed extensive technology for storing items in folded space, no device of such compact size existed. It seemed that the civilization of this cultivation continent also had many techniques worth learning. Once he was firmly established in this foreign world, he would definitely develop these technological treasures. Marveling at the technology packed into the small ring, Zhao Chang'an began to examine the treasures. Wangshu, 1 Pajuan Mecha, 3 spare cores, 1 lightsaber, some mecha ammunition, 1 super soldier gene agent, various combat resources, and 1 tactical nuclear warhead. Most of the small items in the ring were covered in dust and grease, and some showed signs of damage. It was clear that these were dug out piece by piece from the ruins of Xihe by the industrial robots Wangshu had dispatched. But among the supply list, it seemed something suspiciously nuclear had slipped in. "Thank you, Wangshu." Zhao Chang'an smiled slightly, took out the gene agent, and put it in his pocket. "Captain, there is something I need to inform you." Wangshu paused. "It has been confirmed that spiritual energy is the zero element of the original universe. I am now going to use all remaining energy along with the several thousand high-grade spirit stones from Lu Qingfeng to construct a spiritual energy reactor, restoring power to some of Zai's systems." Zhao Chang'an frowned upon hearing this. "All the energy? What if you fail before the energy runs out? Your decisions are always cautious. Why take such a risk all of a sudden? The laws of this world are completely different from traditional thermonuclear fusion energy. They are of the same origin as spiritual energy, a form of high-dimensional dissipative conceptual energy. Zai's energy collection methods cannot utilize it, and the main energy source of Xihe neutron stars is entirely absent in this world. With only enough energy to sustain less than half a month of operation, we must now proceed with the research and construction of the spiritual energy reactor, as spiritual energy is the most readily available power source in this world." Zhao Chang'an lowered his eyes and sighed softly. "Then this parting. I wonder when we will meet again." Wangshu smiled gently. "Captain, I have identified 7 highly feasible plans. If all goes well, I can complete it within 3 days." With that, Zhao Chang'an's helmet fell silent, and Wangshu's voice was no longer heard. He felt a hollow emptiness inside. Looking down at the gene agent in his hand, he slowly sat down beside the Qilin tank's tracks. With Wangshu's help temporarily gone, relying solely on tanks and mechas was not a long-term solution. The urgent priority was to enhance his own strength. With that thought, Zhao Chang'an slowly opened the gene agent case. Inside lay a red suspension and a blue injection, along with a syringe and instructions. This model of gene enhancement fluid was originally a top-grade formulation specially supplied to the Dragonflame Corps. As the Federation's special forces, every Dragonflame soldier was a super warrior with physical strength reaching the limits of humanity. According to Wangshu's calculations, even the most elite Dragonflame soldier could hold their own in hand-to-hand combat against a cultivator at the Foundation establishment stage. The importance of this syringe to Zhao Chang'an was self-evident. After all, without the protection of heavy equipment, he was nothing more than a golden glass cannon. One hit from any magical attack in this cultivation world, and he would be forced to smile and wave goodbye. Mixing the red and blue agents together, he waited 30 seconds. The solution turned purple from the bottom, then rapidly spread, emitting a faint fluorescence. Zhao Chang'an frowned. Despite his rank as a general, he had never needed to use gene agents in combat, but he had a thorough understanding of them. The Federation had never produced a gene agent that glowed after mixing. Yet this one emitted a faint but clearly visible light, giving it an ominous radioactive aura. He had absolute trust in Wangshu. The agent she provided would never harm him. So the issue must be with the agent itself. Could it have undergone some change under the influence of spiritual energy? After much deliberation, he finally gritted his teeth. Since it was only spiritual energy's influence, it couldn't kill him. He loaded the agent into the syringe, and with a determined jab injected it into the deltoid of his left arm. The gene agent quickly took effect. A searing pain spread from his left arm, and he dropped the syringe, collapsing to his knees. His entire body felt as if it were being scorched, each wave of pain hammering against his consciousness like a sledgehammer. He felt as though every part of him was being shattered and reassembled, every cell wailing in agony. According to past users of gene agents, the rejection period lasted about 10 minutes, after which a warm, comfortable sensation would spread through the body. But now his pain had persisted for over 20 minutes with no sign of abating. As the relentless tidal waves of agony continued, Zhao Chang'an's body began involuntarily absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy, even though he had not yet learned any cultivation techniques. As the absorption rate accelerated, a vortex of spiritual energy formed around him. Soon the commotion awakened Lu Qingfeng, who had been sleeping soundly. "Brother Zhao, are you breaking through?" Approaching Zhao Chang'an and observing the spiritual energy vortex around him, Lu Qingfeng frowned in confusion. "But this is only a breakthrough to foundation establishment. Why is it causing such a commotion?" Despite his surprise, Lu Qingfeng drew talismans and stood guard beside Zhao Chang'an. As Zhao Chang'an continued to absorb spiritual energy, without pause the surrounding spiritual energy gradually thinned. As the excruciating pain subsided, Zhao Chang'an opened his eyes and slowly looked up to see Lu Qingfeng's smiling face. "Brother Zhao, congratulations on your breakthrough to foundation establishment." "I broke through." Zhao Chang'an stood up, looking at his palm as he slowly made a fist. A warm current seemed to surge from his lower abdomen to his hand. So this was the spiritual energy in the Dantian. Feeling the immense power within his body, a strange sensation rose in Zhao Chang'an's heart. So power could truly change one's state of mind. The Federation strictly forbade the emergence of immortal humans, and excessively long lifespans were not permitted. First, to ensure the renewal of civilization. If the aged rulers refused to die, the new generation, with fresh ideas and concepts, could not take over, and the Federation would become a stagnant civilization, losing all future and possibility. Second, to avoid large-scale crises caused by the corruption of the soul. For an ordinary human soul, 400 years was the limit. If lifespan increased further, the soul would be tainted by a mysterious force, driving the immortals into madness until their bodies and minds mutated together. Unfortunately, the Federation's research on the soul and that mysterious force was insufficient, and they could only control it by limiting lifespan. For this reason, even the best perfect human agent could only provide a lifespan of nearly 400 years. But now he could pursue the eternal path of immortality without any constraints. The great Dao was right at his feet. Little did he expect that the gene agent infused with spiritual energy would in a stroke of serendipity propel Zhao Chang'an to the foundation establishment realm. Zhao Chang'an slowly clenched his fists, sensing an unprecedented surge of immense power flowing through his body. His mind was exceptionally clear, and all his senses had become remarkably sharper. He just wondered where he stood in terms of strength within the foundation establishment stage. Zhao Chang'an pondered, then turned to Lu Qingfeng and smiled slightly. "Brother Lu, are you at the foundation establishment stage?" Lu Qingfeng nodded slightly. "Late foundation establishment. Why do you ask?" Zhao Chang'an beckoned to Lu Qingfeng. "Come, let's spar." Lu Qingfeng looked at Zhao Chang'an and understood. He had just broken through and wanted to test his skills. The next moment, Lu Qingfeng put his right hand behind his back and struck with his left palm. Zhao Chang'an instinctively raised his hand to block, feeling a sharp pain in his forearm. Clearly, Lu Qingfeng's attack was far more powerful than Zhao Chang'an had imagined. Still, being able to block Lu Qingfeng's strike without injury was already a tremendous improvement. Previously, with Zhao Chang'an's physical condition, even blocking this one move would have shattered both his arms. Before Zhao Chang'an could take a moment to think, Lu Qingfeng transformed his left palm into a fist and punched him square in the chest. Zhao Chang'an staggered back 2 steps, then spun around and lashed out with a whip kick, only for Lu Qingfeng to absorb it with his back. Then Lu Qingfeng pressed his middle and index fingers together, and a fierce sword aura rippled forth. Zhao Chang'an felt a chill flash toward him like a streak of cool autumn water. In the blink of an eye, Lu Qingfeng's 2 fingers were already pressed against his throat. "Well, that's it. I've been utterly dominated by the protagonist with one hand. Good thing Wangshu isn't here, or I'd lose face in front of my own ship girl." Lu Qingfeng, however, didn't find anything unusual about Zhao Chang'an's performance. In just one night, Brother Zhao's physical strength has leaped from an ordinary mortal to foundation establishment, truly a hidden master. Lu Qingfeng was pondering, but the remnant soul in his mind spoke up. Chengfeng being able to transcend the mortal realm in an instant. This brother Zhao is no ordinary man. Keep a close eye on him. I understand, Elder Han. Lu Chengfeng responded in his mind, but saw Zhao Chang'an across from him purse his lips, putting on a mysterious air. Brother Lu, that sword strike of yours just now. Though flashy, the sword aura was all empty. What do you— Zhao Chang'an shook his head repeatedly. For instance, when you cut me with that sword, even though I died, I'm not convinced. Brother Lu, why are you standing still? Zhao Chang'an asked cautiously. Well, could you tell Qilin to move the cannon barrel away first? Otherwise I wouldn't dare to move either. Lu Chengfeng looked behind him, his face full of fear. Zhao Chang'an leaned forward to look. Qilin, with its honest-looking eyes, had sensed the killing intent in the sword aura and had its electromagnetic railgun aimed at the back of Lu Chengfeng's head. Zhao Chang'an ordered Qilin to stand down. He was quite satisfied with his current combat capabilities. Though his combat awareness and technique still needed work, at least his hardware was now up to par. In high spirits, Zhao Chang'an found Lu Chengfeng increasingly agreeable. With a grin, he pulled out a big treasure from his ring. No, a big sword. Brother, this is for you. Lu Chengfeng took it and examined it carefully. It was a blackened cylindrical object about a palm's length, roughly the thickness of a sword hilt, metallic in texture, and felt very comfortable in the hand. Brother Zhao, what is this? Lu Chengfeng asked curiously. This is a peerless immortal sword. Zhao Chang'an said with a mysterious air, then guided Lu Chengfeng. Aim the thinner end outward and press this round button. Be careful not to hold it backward. With a hum, a dazzling golden beam of light extended outward, taking the shape of a sword. Lu Chengfeng's eyes widened. Feeling the scorching aura emanating from the golden blade, his own eyes grew fervent. A sword intent born of nature. This is an immortal sword that carries its own sword intent. How can I accept it for nothing? Zhao Chang'an, seeing Lu Chengfeng's awestruck reaction, felt even more satisfied. Don't say that. As they say, a fine sword for a hero. Am not skilled with the sword in my hands, it would be a pearl hidden in the dust. He wouldn't tell Lu Chengfeng that this was just a mass-produced lightsaber from the Federation. If there was any difference. Maybe this golden lightsaber, which could be carried on Xihe, was from the best batch. Lu Chengfeng fondly caressed the lightsaber, unable to put it down. By chance, he channeled spiritual energy into the charging port at the base of the hilt. Instantly, the golden blade blazed even brighter, its power surging. This is the pinnacle of swords. In all my years, I have seldom seen such a treasure. Even the remnant soul in Lu Chengfeng's mind fell into deep thought. To casually produce a treasure like this. Your brother Zhao is becoming more and more unfathomable to me. If Zhao Chang'an had heard that, he would have burst out laughing. After all, behind him stood that woman, Wangshu, high-level AI little rich girl, great terror. After a round of laughter and banter, Zhao Chang'an lay inside the moving tank, studying the good things Wangshu had sent him in the ring. As for Lu Chengfeng, he had already tossed aside the lightsaber he had been so enamored with moments ago, put on a helmet, and was enthusiastically driving the Qilin tank. Lightsaber, did he only love me for a second? Not sure, let me observe. Qilin tank, here I come. A few hundred li away lay Nanfeng City, the domain of the Nangong family. The city had been run like an iron bucket by the Nangongs for years. Although only Nangong Shao was a golden core cultivator, returning to Nangong City with Lu Chengfeng would likely stir up trouble. So the two decided to head north to Ningxuan City. Lu Chengfeng was simply following Zhao Chang'an, while Zhao Chang'an had deeper plans. Once Wangshu's research succeeded, Xihe would need vast amounts of spirit stones to maintain its energy. Directly plundering by force was the crudest and most convenient method, but given the existence of high-level cultivators in this world, overly aggressive killing and looting might provoke the entire other realm to resist. Until he fully understood the level of high-end combat power, Zhao Chang'an would never consider forceful plunder as an option. Instead, using the large-scale industrial production of the technological side to establish a power repair Xihe, and use Xihe to produce a fleet capable of self-defense, then harvest the continent's wealth through industrial products. This was clearly the more efficient choice. Once industrial production and assembly lines were established on this continent, cheap, high-quality pills, weapons, and various products could be sold continuously, allowing Xihe to easily achieve a monopoly. Monopoly harvests far more than murder and plunder, and it can go on forever, generation after generation. Of course, all of this depended on a prerequisite. First, go to a settlement, understand the background and rules of this world, get to know most of the major powers, and obtain the first bucket of gold to complete the primitive accumulation of capital. Ever since she recovered the anti-gravity chamber, Wangshu had vanished like a ghost. She was betting all her remaining energy to build a spiritual energy reactor before the power ran out, so she had no time for anything else. Zhao Chang'an let out a long sigh. He looked up at Lu Chengfeng, who was still wearing his helmet and enthusiastically driving the tank, and shook his head helplessly. Parents dead, extraordinary talent, chance, encounter remnant soul of an elder. Should I really call that the protagonist template? Just as Zhao Chang'an was lost in thought, Lu Chengfeng's voice rang out. Brother, Zhao, there's a village ahead. Let's just go around it. Zhao Chang'an said. They had no need for supplies and Zhao Chang'an didn't want to disturb the villagers' peaceful lives. Moreover, following the protagonist template's logic, someone like Lu Chengfeng was practically a disaster magnet. Simply approaching a village or town would trigger no small calamity. Sacrifice a close friend, and your power knows no bounds. Sacrifice a sect, and you attain immortality. Zhao Chang'an had the backing of the great Wangshu, so he wasn't afraid of anything, but he wasn't sure if others were as stubborn as he was. All right. Lu Chengfeng had just nodded when his expression changed. Something's wrong. Something is attacking the village. Dun dun dun. Zhao Chang'an's heart skipped a beat, cold sweat beating on his forehead. We're still over a dozen kilometers away. How can this even affect us? I admit I was a bit reckless before. Is it too late to kick this guy off the tank now? At that moment in a village over a dozen kilometers away, a scene of utter hell had already unfolded. The low walls surrounding the village had collapsed, and among the toppled houses were swarms of black rats. Flames and blood stained the sky crimson. Only a handful of young adults with some cultivation remained in the village, stubbornly resisting. Yet these rats were covered in tough, bristly hair, standing as tall as a man. Ordinary people stood no chance against them. The young cultivators, mostly at the early chi condensation stage and lacking proper weapons, found themselves at a severe disadvantage in the fight. A middle-aged man, striving to protect the women and children behind him, single-handedly fought 3 massive rats. His hunting knife was already chipped. As he raised the blade to block the fangs of the rat in front, the claws of another rat lunged at him from the side. The man closed his eyes, thinking this is the end. Suddenly a dull drone sounded, followed by a blazing golden sword light that flashed past. The 3 ferocious rats before him were sliced in 2 at the waist. Their 6 body halves slowly fell to the ground, and acrid green smoke rose from the cleanly severed sections. The middle-aged man opened his eyes and saw a young man in blue robes standing before him, gripping a gleaming golden sword. He dropped his hunting knife, fell to his knees, and pleaded, "Immortal, please save our village." Yet when he looked up again, the young immortal was no longer there. The next moment, he heard a whistling sound overhead. Zhao Chang'an, clad in the Pujuan armor, landed on the ground, the heavy mecha kicking up clouds of dust. The Pujuan armor embodied the Federation designer's exceptional aesthetic, an azure outer shell with sharp angular contours, blue energy pulsing through the gaps, and an ion reactor at its chest. It descended like a god of war from the heavens, perfectly showcasing the brutal elegance of technological civilization. Following the Pujuan armor's radar guidance, Zhao Chang'an soon discovered survivors beneath a pile of rubble. Under the debris, a rat was pinned by a massive beam. In a triangular space across from it, 2 girls, one older, one younger, were hiding. The older girl clutched a wooden stick, warily watching the rat that kept trying to crawl out, while soothing the younger one, yowling, "Don't be afraid." The deep blue mecha arrived in an instant. Its thick mechanical arms lifted the beam and the rubble above it, tossing them aside. The rat under the beam sensed danger and lost interest in the 2 girls. Bearing its fangs, it charged at Zhao, but before the 3-meturtal Pujuan armor, this rat was no different from a hamster. The mecha's arm easily grabbed it. The next moment, a blue light blade formed on the right arm and thrust into the rat's mouth. The rat's tough hide was as fragile as ice against the light blade. With a single squeal, it ceased struggling, its body pierced through, emitting green smoke and pus. I always heard that saying opening one's mouth is bad for health was about talking too much, but now it seems quite unsanitary, Zhao Chang'an muttered, shaking his head in disgust at the sticky mess. The 2 little girls stared at the mecha, which had descended like a war god, forgetting their fear in tears. As if touched by fate, they simply traced its mechanical structure with their eyes. These 2 future, genius mecha pilots had no idea that the poem of destiny had already taken shape from the very first glance. Lu Chengfeng, alerted by the commotion, rushed over and lifted the 2 girls out of the debris. Yet his gaze at the Pujuan armor sparkled with renewed admiration. Zhao Chang'an merely glanced at the 2 girls, then launched the Pujuan into the air, turning his attention to the battle at the village's edge. On the outskirts near the mountains, a colossal rat was locked in combat, with a female cultivator at the golden core. The rat stood 5 meters tall, with razor-sharp fangs and blood-red eyes. Its glossy steel-like fur made it appear grotesque and horrifying enough to cause visceral discomfort. On the other side, the female cultivator was battered and bruised, her blue robes tattered. She was clearly at her last gasp, unlikely to hold out much longer. The female cultivator soon noticed the flying humanoid mecha. Though its design was bizarre, she wasted no time. "Taoist friend, please lend me your aid. If this beast breaks into the village, the consequences would be dire." In truth, Zhao Chang'an would have acted even without her plea. After all, the rat was completely turned away, utterly defenseless, and he happened to be young and not above sneaking it. The next moment, the armor on the Pujuan's left shoulder began to shift. Countless mechanical components assembled to form a cannon in an instant. Boom. Sneak attack. An ion cannon fired from behind, striking the giant rat. The devastating blast tore through the fur and flesh on its back, exposing the white bones beneath. As a combat unit far more expensive and advanced than the Qilin breach tank, the Pujuan's shoulder cannon was both more powerful and more brutal. Without air defense or hostile mechas to distract it, the Pujuan hovering above the tank formation was no more than an efficient can opener, slicing and flattening every armored target in sight. Had it been Nangong Shao back then who took this shot, he would have been crippled or at least half his combat power destroyed. Yet such a devastating ion cannon failed to inflict a fatal blow on the giant rat. Just as the Pujuan's shoulder cannon glowed with charging energy, a strange black mist rose from the wound on the rat's back. Countless fleshy tendrils writhed and regenerated the injury at an impossible speed. Lu Qingfeng, arriving to assist, was stunned. This is the bloodthirsty calamity rat from the first layer of the Guishu abyss. How could it be here? Zhao Chang'an, however, was even more shaken. Staring at the eerie black mist that enveloped the rat, his breathing grew heavy. Warning, pilot's heart rate exceeds threshold, abnormal emotional fluctuations. Please remain calm. Please remain calm. Detecting Zhao Chang'an's physiological state, the Pujuan armor issued an alert and released a low-concentration calming gas into the helmet. But for Zhao Chang'an, whose physique was at the Foundation establishment stage, it had little effect. As a Federation fleet commander, he was all too familiar with this black mist. The eerie haze, the indescribable corruption, and the continuous regeneration. These were the hallmarks of the aberrant creatures that had swept through the original universe. They existed in this world as well. Wangshu. Only after calling out did he remember that Wangshu was still engaged in the study of the spirit energy reactor. The more she failed to respond, the stronger his urge to confirm with her expertise whether this black mist matched the creatures of the original universe. He desperately needed a professional opinion. Could it be that the calamity that engulfed the entire cosmos was also unfolding in this world? Meanwhile, at the Yaoqi Holy Land, a team of female cultivators was hurrying toward the main eastern gate. A round-faced young girl approached them, and though she appeared young, all the cultivators bowed. Holy Maiden. The leading woman nodded. Senior sister. The girl smiled and asked, I see you all in such a rush. What's happened? The woman frowned. A Guishu fissure has appeared near Mount Yaoding in southern Qingzhou. The team we sent has lost contact. Lost contact. The round-faced girl's eyes widened. How could they lose contact? The woman fumbled for a note with the information. Senior sisters Yi Shui and Yu Fu were leading the team. They shouldn't have any problems. At least they would have had time to send a message. As she finished searching, a gust of wind nearly snatched the note from her hand. When she looked up again, all she saw was the girl's sword light fading into the distance. Oh no, the Holy Maiden is charging in again. Quick, inform the elders. The bloodthirsty, abominable rat regenerated with astonishing speed. Unable to completely destroy it, Zhao Chang'an was forced to adopt a kiting strategy, keeping the creature at a distance while steadily consuming its restored strength. For an ordinary golden core cultivator, such a tactic would have depleted their spiritual energy long ago. Fortunately, the Pujuan mech was equipped with a reactor. He had assumed this strategy would be foolproof, but he never expected the bloodthirsty, abominable rat also possessed long-range attack capabilities. With a piercing shriek, the creature's fur bristled and then shot outward like steel needles in all directions. Shine. Countless needles pierced through the Pujuan mech's ion shield, instantly incinerating into ash, yet 3 hairs managed to breach the shield's defense. Clang, clang, clanged. 3 hairs penetrated the ion shield and embedded themselves into the chest armor of the Pujuan mech, reaching a depth of 1 millimeter. The chest armor of the Pujuan mech was forged from materials equivalent to warship armor, capable of withstanding the high-penetration main cannon of a Qilin tank. Though not pierced, a depth of 1 millimeter was already enough to threaten most golden core cultivators. Though the attack was stopped by the armor, beads of sweat still formed on Zhao Chang'an's brow. It felt as if those 3 hairs had pierced directly into his own body. Be careful, Taoist. This beast's physical strength has already reached the nascent soul level, a female cultivator beside him shouted. Hearing this, Zhao Chang'an dared not be careless. Piloting the Pujuan mech, he executed a high-speed dive, followed by a crisp aerial somersault. The blue lightsaber slashed through the bloodthirsty, abominable rat's head without resistance, carving a wound deep enough to reveal brain matter. Yet in the next moment, dense black mist coalesced into a tangible form, extending like tentacles to connect the severed sections, and the bloodthirsty, abominable rat regenerated once again. Although Zhao Chang'an's repeated attacks bought the female cultivator a moment to catch her breath, they could scarcely turn the tide of battle. Just then, Lu Chengfeng finished clearing the surrounding smaller rats. Seeing Zhao Chang'an locked in combat with the bloodthirsty, abominable rat, he shouted, Brother Zhao, that's Guishu demon chi. You must annihilate all of it with spiritual energy to slay the evil. Spiritual energy. Zhao Chang'an was immediately perplexed. He had plenty of powerful offensive means, but spiritual energy truly posed a challenge. Moreover, in the original universe, the Federation had never required spiritual energy when combating those bizarre entities. Nuclear bombs, antimatter annihilation cannons, proton impact cannons, gamma ray streams, black hole collapse cannons. In the original universe, aside from a handful of monstrous beings capable of withstanding two-dimensional foils, the vast majority of anomalous entities were dealt with cleanly by Federation technology. Still, perhaps these evil spirits had evolved, transformed by the influence of spiritual energy. Regardless of the original universe, at least the Federation's technological spiritualization proposed by Wang Shu was indeed the most correct path for the present. Boom, boom, boom. Several crimson runes flew toward the bloodthirsty abominable rat, and then exploded. These were Lu Chengfeng's explosive talismans. No matter how extraordinary Lu Chengfeng's talent, the explosive talismans he inscribed were still only at the Foundation establishment level. The spiritual energy explosion could annihilate only a limited amount of black mist, a mere drop in the bucket compared to the massive bulk of the abominable rat. However, Lu Chengfeng lacked Zhao Chang'an's mech shield. The bloodthirsty abominable rat's attacks posed a great threat to him, forcing him into frequent frantic dodges. The bloodthirsty abominable rat seemed to notice Lu Chengfeng's predicament, ignoring Zhao Chang'an's relentless bombardment and charging straight at Lu Chengfeng. Just as the battle reached a stalemate, a fist imprint flew through the air and smashed into the bloodthirsty abominable rat's head. The front half of the creature's body exploded with a resounding blast accompanied by a shockwave of spiritual energy that dissipated a full fifth of the black mist. Then a figure in blue robes landed beside Zhao Chang'an. Seeing the Peijun mech, she paused in surprise before clasping her hands and saying, "Thanks, you two big brothers." The female cultivator beside them brightened at the sight, "Senior Sister Xihe." Then, as if finally finding support, she fainted. Lu Chengfeng reacted swiftly, catching the unconscious woman and laying her on the ground at the edge of the battlefield. Zhao Chang'an stared at the young girl before him, bright-eyed, rosy-cheeked, lively, and adorable, with her round face, momentarily stunned. Was this the owner of that golden fist imprint? Her spiritual energy surged with overwhelming intensity, powerful spiritual pressure, creating ripples around her body. From appearances alone, she was at least at the peak of golden core. But a girl like this, instead of practicing the sword, chose to practice fist techniques. Ridiculous. Despite all his inner complaints, Zhao Chang'an maintained proper courtesy. "Miss Xihe is too kind." While greeting her, the mech remained active. The charged Peijun shoulder cannon fired another shot at the bloodthirsty abominable rat. The explosive ion cluster, with its searing heat and dazzling radiance, made Xihe glance once more at this gentleman in the strange armor. "You're strong. Stall for me," Xihe said, then immediately began channeling a technique. Vast spiritual energy converged around her, like a spiritual energy engine operating under heavy load. It seemed Xihe was preparing to unleash a major attack. But this was the real world. When the protagonist charges up, the villain strikes. No martial ethics. The Goeishu abominable rat clearly sensed the immense spiritual energy gathering within Xihe. In an instant, it rushed before her, its enormous front paw swatting down. Zhao Chang'an had no choice but to go all out. The shoulder cannon and machine gun opened fire simultaneously, a dense hail of fire shredding the creature's massive forelimb in an instant. Stung by pain, the abominable rat stumbled back several steps, only to have its back bombarded by Lu Chengfeng's explosive talismans. Caught between head and tail, it was utterly disgraced. While attacking the rat, Zhao Chang'an pondered a very constructive question. Perhaps the reason Federation technology could overwhelm everything was because it annihilated too thoroughly. All along, the equipment Zhao Chang'an carried was designed primarily for portability. But that didn't mean the Peijun mech's attacks represented his maximum combat power. With access to the Wan Bird airspace platform, capable of providing fire support in as little as 5 minutes, the attack power he could deploy was 10 times, even 9 times that of the Peijun mech. For instance, a Jinwu strategic bomber. Considering that blowing the rat into too many fragments would hinder Miss Xihe's performance, Zhao Chang'an ultimately decided to use a slightly gentler method. Just launch a single thermobaric warhead, a tiny fragile missile that would strike without pain or itch, surely making the little rat feel a caressing tender torment and a graceful demise. As the shoulder plate of the Peijun mech flipped open, a small missile flew toward the bloodthirsty abominable. Sensing the anomaly, the abominable rat swatted the incoming object with its claw, detonating it. The powdered solid fuel scattered into a massive white cloud enveloping the creature. Xihe nodded slightly, using smoke to impede the bloodthirsty abominable rat's movement. A clever choice. By the time the rat broke through the smokescreen, her immortal technique would be fully charged. Boom. First a spark ignited within the white cloud. Then the entire cloud erupted in a dazzling blaze accompanied by a deafening explosion. A visible shockwave spread outward, carrying countless shreds of flesh and severed limbs. After the center burned thoroughly, the depleted oxygen created an extreme low-pressure zone. Air rushed back from all sides, crushing inward like waves against the explosion's core. Thermobaric explosion. Xihe When the smoke cleared, the bloodthirsty, abominable rat was nothing but a charred skeleton. See that? The smoke means no damage. Rule works most of the time, but when you wield thermobaric bombs, fuel air explosives, tactical nukes, and the like, that rule is null and void. Staring at the heap of charred remains, Xihe held her fully charged golden fist imprint, its energy ready yet unable to strike. The scene became immensely awkward. Just as the atmosphere was about to freeze over a wisp of Guishu demon chi stirred over the still warm corpse. It was slowly regenerating. Zhao Chang'an rubbed his brow. This time it simply wasn't thorough enough. Next time try again, next time die. And Xihe, the holy maiden of the esteemed Yao Qi sacred land, had never found Guishu demon chi so adorable. It felt like meeting a family member. After all, her ultimate move finally had a target. With the violent explosion of spiritual energy, the last trace of demonic chi vanished. Under the relentless bombardment of Zhao Chang'an and Xihe, the abyssal plague rat finally departed this world in peace. Seeing the plague rat vanquished, Xihe finally relaxed. She first excused herself to Zhao Chang'an and Lu Qingfeng, then immediately dashed into the village, likely worried about her fellow disciples during the battle. Zhao Chang'an watched Xihe's retreating figure, a complex expression on his face. The Golden Core Realm, the third stage in the world of cultivation, allowed one to wield magical artifacts, soar through the skies, and raise cities with a mere flick of the hand. Only upon reaching this stage did one completely sever ties with mortals and embark on the ethereal and endless path of immortality. A Golden Core cultivator so young must have an extraordinary background. If her surname were Yilin Xiao or Chu, one might suspect her to be the protagonist. But her surname is Xihe, a rather uncommon one. Among all the novels Zhao Chang'an had read, only one dared to bear the name Xihe. At that moment, the remnant soul within Lu Qingfeng's mind was also astounded. Little Lu, at such a tender age, she has already reached the peak of Golden Core with a formidable physique and astonishing bone structure. This girl's future achievements may rival yours. Truly, the descent of the Emperor Star heralds an era of great contention. A great contention indeed. Hearing this, Lu Qingfeng felt his youthful spirit surge with battle intent. Though his cultivation was still low, a sword cultivator focuses on tempering the heart. Once he found his sword intent, his sword heart would become transparent, and he would directly reach the Golden Core realm. When that time comes, facing this Xihe, the outcome would still be uncertain. Before long, a cloud boat descended from the sky, and over a dozen female cultivators leaped down, all clad in uniform cyan robes. Undoubtedly disciples of the Yao Qi Holy Land. Holy Maiden, are you alright? The leader on the cloud boat, also a Golden Core cultivator, landed and immediately inquired about Xihe's condition. "I'm fine, but am worried that Yu Fu fainted, and Xihe took the other three into the mountains. I'm afraid something may have happened to them." "Holy Maiden, please don't worry. The sect has already dispatched reinforcements. They will organize a search party into the mountains soon. No, every moment of delay puts Xihe and the others in greater danger." Xihe shook her head, handing the unconscious female cultivator to the one before her. "Take care of Yu Fu and the village. They'll figure out the rest." With that, Xihe turned to Zhao Chang'an and Lu Qingfeng. "My name is Xihe. What are your names?" "Zhao Chang'an. Lu Qingfeng. My junior sisters are missing in the mountains and am short-handed. You two are very capable. Would you accompany me to rescue them?" The round-faced young girl scrutinized the two. Seeing no immediate response, she quickly pulled a ring from her bosom. "I can pay you. If you don't want spirit stones, I have elixirs. Jade marrow comprehensive pills. They're incredibly potent." "I want spirit stones. Why give elixirs?" Zhao Chang'an screamed inwardly. He then slung an arm around Lu Qingfeng's shoulder, putting on a brotherly act. "Miss Xihe, it's fine to ask me to face Guishu and risk my life. But to bring this one along? No way. He's my dearest friend, my sworn brother." Xihe was taken aback, about to change her offer, when Zhao Chang'an's decisive voice rang out, "You have to pay more." Lu Qingfeng, embraced by Zhao Chang'an, felt a flicker of gratitude, but also something off. All three were formidable fighters. As they ascended the mountain, any evil spirits that harassed them were utterly annihilated, unable to impede their progress. While piloting his mech, Zhao Chang'an skillfully extracted information about Guishu from Xihe. The war between this cultivation world and Guishu had begun long before the Dark Age. No one knew how Guishu had emerged, nor the origin of its bizarre, frenzied, and indescribable power. At the southern border of the Guishu region, the Rift Valley Great Wall stood guard, holding back the main forces of Guishu within the Rift Desert. Yet countless followers of Guishu remained active across the continent, ceaselessly attempting to open various levels of Guishu rifts. This Guishu rift must be those villains doing again. The naive girl spilled information like beans from a bamboo tube. "I'm worried now. If they've opened more than the first level, it could be very troublesome." Zhao Chang'an frowned upon hearing this. Multiple levels. Could it be that Guishu is not a single spatial concept, but an aggregation of many fragment spaces? Unbeknownst to them, the trio had arrived at the mid-slope of Yaoding Mountain, where the demonic energy of Guishu was at its thickest. Skirting several dense patches of vegetation, a pitch-black cave mouth suddenly appeared before them. Thick black mist billowed out, turning the surrounding area into dead ground. As Zhao Chang'an and his companions approached the cave, a chill crept into their hearts. It was a natural karst cave with colorful stalactites, dense moisture, and threads of thick black vapor. The Pajuan Mech's breathing circulation system suddenly activated without warning. Zhao Chang'an frowned, realizing the space likely contained some harmful substance. Indeed, both Shi and Lu Qingfeng noticeably drew in sharp breaths, as if disturbed by something The Guishu demonic energy has already spread to the cave mouth. Whatever lies inside must be formidable. Shi Rao's brows knitted, her gentle face taking on a resolute and stern expression against the dark cavern. At some point, the monotonous dripping sound from deep within the cave mingled with an eerie rustling, like the sound of small animals crawling over rocks. Shi stared into the tunnel's depths, sharp-eyed. Here they come. A lot of them. Lu Qingfeng also wore a grave expression, gripping his light sword tightly. The next moment, with a rush of scraping sounds, countless green glows lit up the dark rocky cave. Swarms of rats poured like waves across every inch of the cavern, surging toward the trio. Zhao Chang'an suddenly turned and asked, for small evil spirits, if I obliterate them to the last trace, can I ignore the demonic energy's regenerative effect? I'm not sure either. Shi shook her head in confusion. After all, most methods use spiritual energy to shatter evil spirits. Without spiritual energy, would one just set them on fire and burn them to ash? Zhao Chang'an, piloting the Pajuan mech, raised his left arm. A flamethrower with a pressurizer extended outward. Staring at the black nozzle, Shi sensed something ominous. Zhao Chang'an, what are you doing? What followed was a sea of blue flame that engulfed the entire space ahead. As the blazing fire erupted, both Shi and Lu Qingfeng stepped back, sweat beading on their foreheads. The fear of fire is innate in all living beings. Among the many civilizations the Galactic Federation had defeated, one was deeply devoted to the warrior spirit. Yet their proud samurai charges all turned into despairing charcoal under the flamethrower. Thus from then on, the canister-loaded powerful flamethrower earned a new nickname, the Samurai Happy Can. Zhao Chang'an strode forward with the flamethrower blazing against the tide of rats. Not a single rat lasted more than a second under the blue flames. They shrieked and turned into charcoal upon contact. Crunching over the blackened rat corpses like snow boots, he took a dozen steps and turned to see the two still standing there, stunned. What are you standing around for? Let's go. Shi and Lu Qingfeng both wiped sweat from their foreheads, suddenly becoming extremely deferential. Sure, you go first. Snapping back from the shock of the blue flames, the two stepped over the scorched corpses of the cursed rats, following Zhao Chang'an with timid reverence. Lu Qingfeng watched as the blue flames wreaked havoc with unstoppable ease, and fine beads of sweat unknowingly formed on his forehead. The lingering soul in his mind spoke slowly. Qingfeng, if I'm not mistaken, this should be the legendary Netherworld Emperor Flame. Its fire is a ghostly blue. Once it touches you, it clings like a relentless curse, burning with eerie tenacity. Wiping the sweat from his brow, Lu Qingfeng looked at Zhao Chang'an with a hint of admiration. Brother Zhao, your skills are truly extraordinary. Not only are you adept at wielding fire, but this flame is no ordinary thing. Adept at burning. Zhao Chang'an almost retorted, I'm not just adept, I'm also quite dazzling. Shi also spoke with genuine concern. Brother Zhao, if your spiritual energy runs low, just tell me. We'll take over. Zhao Chang'an then thought of a mischievous reply. As long as you like it, I can keep burning like this forever. But after a moment's hesitation, he decided not to shatter this naive girl's worldview. After all, trying to explain to Shi, a girl with a mind that never fully developed and a brain that barely functions, about the plasma reactor and how it releases heat through focused arcs to condense high-temperature plasma before a flamethrower was a headache in itself. In short, to solve the problem of rapid spiritual energy depletion, one could either replenish spiritual energy or eliminate its consumption. Why bother with spiritual energy when a reactor works better? What era is this still using traditional Dantian? Our superior plasma reactor has completely replaced the outdated traditional Dantian. And so the two followed timorously for another 10 minutes. The strange flame in Zhao Chang'an's hand never extinguished, nor did he show any signs of spiritual exhaustion, incinerating countless cursed rats along the way. Lu Qingfeng and Shi trailing behind Zhao Chang'an had moved from initial shock to worry and now to calm acceptance. They had come to realize one thing: Brother Zhao's Dantian seemed to have a longer endurance than their own lives. Brother Zhao possessed not only devastatingly powerful techniques, but also such profound spiritual energy. As long as he didn't hide his brilliance, he would surely rise to prominence in this era teeming with prodigies. Though the tide of rats was nothing against the warriors' joy, their endless numbers still made Zhao Chang'an feel a slight weariness. So many rats, Was this Mickey's funhouse? Then he glanced back at the trail of charred remains behind him. Well, now it should be called Mickey's Funhouse. Suddenly Zhao Chang'an halted, for he saw a massive rat head thrusting toward him through the scorching plasma. Though the fur on its body had been vaporized and its skin seared, the head still maintained its basic form and structure under the high heat, unlike the other cursed rats that were entirely incinerated. The next moment, sharp claws slashed fiercely across the chest of the Pajuan armor. With a piercing screech of metal, the sturdy chest plate of the Pajuan armor bore 3 white scratches, and a warning sounded. Alert. Paint layer damaged. Nanocoating damaged. Another elite monster far stronger than ordinary cursed rats. Though this bloodthirsty rat was smaller than the one in the village, its physical strength was no less formidable, even managing to scratch the paint off the Pajuan armor. Everyone am a bit spent. Zhao Chang'an frowned, stepping back behind Lu Chengfeng and Shi Ro. Please hold the front for me temporarily. In the confined space of the cave, the ion shield of the Pajuan armor would directly burn and destabilize the rock walls. Without shield protection, Zhao Chang'an felt a moment of cowardice was fine. Letting the 2 protagonists take the lead shouldn't be a problem. Faced with Zhao Chang'an's sudden retreat, the 2 destined protagonists cast suspicious glances at him, but with the enemy at hand, joining forces was more important. They then unleashed their skills, attacking the rat with full force. From Shi Ro's brow, a mysterious silver light shot forth, carrying a power that shattered all in its path. Lu Chengfeng also swung his lightsaber, its blade imbued with a murderous sword aura accompanied by a soaring sword cry. As Shi Ro executed her unique technique, the lingering soul in Lu Chengfeng's mind spoke again in shock. Supreme, bone, heavenly calamity light. So that's it. The rat hadn't expected 2 spirited youths to suddenly appear, its small eyes gleaming with great confusion. Let's interview the rat about its experience. A big guy barged into my home and tried to give me a perm without a word. How could I take that? I swiped at that Tony the barber in a tin can, and he ran off scared. Who knew 2 sneaky bastards were hiding behind him, attacking me from both sides? Little rat me is really mad now. Angry as it was facing the attacks of the 2 destined protagonists, the rat took a sword strike to the head from Lu Chengfeng, then had half its skull blasted apart by the heavenly calamity light. Its remaining body was sent flying dozens of meters into the darkness behind. Only after the bloodthirsty rat blocking their path moved aside did the 3 discover that behind it was no longer narrow rock walls, but a vast cavern. It seemed its duty was to guard this tight passage, preventing outsiders from barging in. But just as they stepped into the space, the rat screeched and lunged at Lu Chengfeng, who was leading the way. Its grievous wounds had already healed, and its gleaming claws were about to tear off a piece of him. Lu Chengfeng extended his lightsaber to sever the rat's swiping claws, but was struck by its tail, sending him flying to crash heavily against the rock wall. This rat has a nascent soul-level body. Be careful. Shi Ro quickly assessed its strength and shouted a. No sooner had she spoken than she saw Zhao Chang'an activate his ion shield, wielding a blue lightsaber as he charged forward. Having been cooped up in the tunnel, unable to deploy his shield, Zhao Chang'an finally reveled in the open space. With the ion shield's protection, he transformed into a berserker, unleashing a relentless assault on the rat's claws. How can I let Brother Zhao take the risk? Lu Chengfeng, having been pummeled from the start, was now brimming with rage. Wiping blood from his mouth, he raised his golden longsword and joined the fray. The nascent soul rat was forced back step by step by the 2, its body trapped in a cycle of constant damage and regeneration. Shi Ro was about to assist when she noticed a deep black spatial rift slowly expanding on the ground behind the rat. A juncture between the eerie and reality, like the end of all things, exuding a chilling aura of doom. A Goeshi rift. Shi Ro stared intently, her hair standing on end. No. This rift connects the 1st and 3rd levels simultaneously. Though Zhao Chang'an didn't understand the differences between the levels, he could tell from Shi Ro's tone that the situation. Shi Ro struck the rat with all her might while urging, "We need to hurry. If the rift fully forms, well be." Unfortunately, the bloodthirsty rat's body had already reached the nascent soul realm, its demonic energy swirling around it, granting it an astonishing recovery speed. Even under the combined assault of the 3, it held its ground, making it impossible to get near the Goeshi rift. This beast was actually guarding the rift with its life, enduring for such a long time. For the first time, Zhao Chang'an felt he had met his match in terms of endurance. Could he tolerate that? It was a grave insult to a man's pride. So Zhao Chang'an shouted, "If I find a way to shatter it, can you break its demonic energy?" "Yes." Shi Ro and Lu Chengfeng replied in unison. Zhao Chang'an immediately gave orders. As his words fell, Lu Chengfeng and Shi Ro reacted simultaneously, each unleashing a fierce attack to drive the bloodthirsty rat toward Zhao Chang'an. The back of the Pajuan armor blazed with a brilliant blue exhaust, instantly appearing before the rat. Its mechanical arms then locked tightly around the bloodthirsty rat, and the reactor's flow plate on the armor's chest slowly opened. With the chest flow plate remove the ion energy, meant to last 50 years erupted in a pulse jet directly burning into the bloodthirsty rat's body. The rat's skin turned red, its back swelled, and it gradually expanded until it exploded into a mess of charred fragments. Xihe seized the moment, unleashing a golden fist imprint that annihilated the surging demonic energy. As the demonic energy dissipated, the fragments that had been twitching and regenerating on the ground finally lost their vitality, turning into blackened residue. By the time the three killed the rat, the rift's growth was nearly complete, emitting chaotic and indescribable mist. No good, we must destroy it immediately. Xihe's face grew grim, but as she stepped forward, she suddenly sensed something and leaped aside in alarm. Boom! A massive black palm print struck where Xihe had stood, sinking the cave floor a full foot deep. As the black mist surged from the rift, an old man in a black robe slowly materialized. Hee, how delightful. If I had arrived a moment later, you might have actually succeeded. According to the many fantasy novels Zhao Chang'an had read, there were countless ways to court death, and wearing a black robe and cackling like a villain was definitely among the top 3. Zhao Chang'an glanced at the oddly dressed old man and sighed lightly. Old man, daring to wear a black robe and cackle like that means you're not far from death. The old man smirked contemptuously upon hearing this, an ignorant foundation establishment brat, yet you dare speak such arrogance. As his words fell, the demonic chi surging behind the old man coalesced into a massive skull that hurtled toward Zhao Chang'an. Brother Zhao, he's at the nascent soul stage. Do not underestimate him. Lu Qingfeng shouted from the side. So this was the legendary nascent soul, old monster capable of suppressing an entire mortal realm. Better to see once than hear 100 times. Buzz. The Pajun armor activated its ion shield at full power, but it still couldn't withstand the impact of the demonic skull. The entire shield melted like an ice cube in molten lava, and Zhao Chang'an was blasted away by the tremendous force. The power of a nascent soul, terrifying beyond words. At the critical moment, Xihe offered a delicate jade talisman, which burst forth with an even more oppressive attack, shooting straight at the black-robed old man. An attack talisman from a nascent soul expert. The old man frowned, dared not be careless, withdrew his power-suppressing Zhao Chang'an, and channeled all his demonic chi into a colossal skull to block the attack. Zhao Chang'an sat on the ground watching the old man's moves and shook his head with disdain. Offense as a skull, defense as a skull. Does this guy only know how to use skulls? If only you had a bit more imagination, you wouldn't be so unimaginative. Seizing the gap when the nascent soul old monster was defending, Xihe rushed over and helped Zhao Chang'an, still in his Pajun armor, to his feet, ignoring his surprised look. She whispered, he has to channel power to the rift, so he can't go all out. We can. Before she could finish, another menacing demonic skull came crashing down. Zhao Chang'an hugged Xihe tightly, the armor's propulsion module overloading as he leaped sideways, barely dodging the attack. This isn't right, is it? Aren't villains supposed to wait while the protagonist charges up, transforms, or plans their strategy? So dishonorable. Luckily, the Pajun armor wasn't heavily damaged, as Zhao Chang'an dove his shoulder cannon, aimed at the old man, and fired at full power. Though blocked by the thick black mist, it managed to stall the old man's next strike. The black-robed old man showed no anger. Instead, he cackled again. A jade talisman from the Yao Qi Holy Land, and of nascent soul quality. You little beauty must be at least a core disciple. For young ladies came before and died messily, now a core disciple arrives. I wonder what faces those holier Thantha women will make when they learn one of their own is dead. In just a few breaths of combat, the surging demonic chi behind the old man had doubled, and the oppressive pressure made it hard for all three to breathe. What did you do to them? Xihe demanded. What did I do? I threw them into the Gui Su to feed the rats, of course. But it would be a waste to feed a beauty like you to the rats. Once my master's projection descends, it'll refine you into a cauldron. Hee. The old man leered obscenely as 10 demonic skulls formed above his head, crashing down with suffocating pressure upon Xihe and Zhao Chang'an. Just one was hard enough to dodge, and now 10 at once. This looked like the end. At that moment, Xihe was furious, her silver teeth nearly grinding to dust, but she didn't lose her composure. She summoned another jade talisman, but before she could use it, a wisp of demonic chi flicked from the old man's finger, struck it to the ground. When faced with a vastly superior opponent, even with countless life-saving artifacts, you may not even get a chance to use them. Just as the skulls were about to crush them, a heaven-piercing sword aura exploded, sweeping all the demonic chi from the cave. Now Lu Qingfeng hovered in midair, divine light blazing in his eyes, and sword aura surging from his hand. Clearly the senior within his mind had made a move. As expected of a destined protagonist, each has a hidden card. Where was his own card? Busy researching. Then never mind, sorry to bother. Zhao Chang'an silently recorded the scene of the two destined protagonists displaying their powers against the enemy. In time, when these two become legends, this painting will surely become a world-famous masterpiece. He even thought of a name. It should be called Wangshu is Doing Research. Look, Zhao Chang'an, Lu Qingfeng, and Shi Ro joined forces against a powerful foe. You ask about Wangshu. Wangshu is doing research. The black-robed old man, seeing Lu Qingfeng surrounded by such expensive special effects, knew he was no pushover. He withdrew his power and focused entirely on the new threat. Lu Qingfeng swung his sword again. Before the old man could react, a blinding sword light instantly decapitated him. This was a true sword cultivator. The light flashes, and the head falls. The next moment, Lu Qingfeng's radiance faded, and he collapsed to the ground, utterly drained. Zhao Chang'an watched, and shook his head silently. Sure, Brother Lu looked cool when he took down that guy, but the way he looks like a kidney-deficient wreck afterward is really sorry. The ultimate move consumed too much energy. Who knew when it would be ready again? Just as the three thought the great threat was eliminated and could relax, a tremor emanated from deep within the Gui Su rift. A terrifying pressure descended like a towering mountain, pressing down, striking the three like lightning and pinning them to the ground. Even the hard exoskeleton of the Paijun armor groaned under the immense pressure. In a daze, a phantom appeared in the minds of the three. As the saying goes, 10,000 ghostly souls kneel in welcome, 1,000 ghost soldiers clear the path, a wrongful wedding song sung for 3,000 years, a bridal procession stretching 1,000,000 leagues. Shi Ro, pinned to the ground, forced out a few words. The master of the third layer of Gui Su. The underworld queen. Shi Ro, isn't your holy land sending reinforcements yet? Lu Qingfeng, also prostrate, asked with difficulty. Still on the way. What do we do now? If we could deliver a full-force strike at the divine transformation stage, maybe we could destroy the rift. Lu Qingfeng struggled to say. Golden core, nascent soul, divine transformation. If it were just nascent soul, the three might have found a way, but with two major realms between them, the gap in cultivation was like a chasm. Hearing this, Zhao Chang'an suddenly spoke. Everyone, I have a move, but once used well, all be reduced to ashes. Lu Qingfeng laughed heartily. Either way, well, die at the hands of Gui Su. Destroying this rift would be a worthy death. Dying here is worth it. Shi Ro also raised her head with difficulty. Indeed, those who become protagonists possess a breadth of mind and courage that ordinary people cannot match. Of course, Zhao Chang'an was not one to foolishly rush to his death. Rather than everyone dying when the rift fully opened, he would take the initiative. With the fates of two protagonists, perhaps they could find a glimmer of hope. Having weighed the pros and cons, Zhao Chang'an decided to pull off a bold move. He smiled slightly, opened the space portal within his ring, and a round warhead slowly emerged. Just the tip appearing was enough for Shi Ro and Lu Qingfeng, both with keen intuition, to sense a deadly threat. They exchanged glances, shock evident in their eyes. Seeing their terrified expressions, Zhao Chang'an could only shake his head helplessly. The little nuke just shows its tiny tip, yet a hydrogen bomb already stands atop. Lu Qingfeng felt a bad premonition and quickly asked, Brother Zhao, what is this? Zhao Chang'an blocked Lu Qingfeng's view of the nuke. Don't look. Why? Because looking again will make it explode. Then Zhao Chang'an activated the Paijun armor at full power, forcing himself to stand as the metal skeleton groaned under the strain. Struggling to the Gui Su rift, Zhao Chang'an manually armed the tactical nuke in his hand and tossed it into the rift. Lightly knock on the sleeping soul. Hydrogen gently wakes the sleeping heart. The federal tactical nuclear warhead slipped from Zhao Chang'an's grasp and vanished into the chasm of the abyss. Moments later, a heart-stopping force bloomed within the void, and a woman's voice, cold and venomous, echoed from the other side of the rift. What manner of insect dares? Zhao Chang'an's act had roused the ire of the abyss third layer's master, the Nether Queen. With that single utterance, Zhao Chang'an felt as though he had plunged into an icy abyss. His very blood and thoughts froze, pinned by a malevolence so profound it rendered him utterly immobile. Had Xihe been at full strength, Zhao Chang'an would have marshaled the Federation's vast arsenal of annihilation decrees, forcing this crone from the gutter to see who the true insect was and offering her a cordial greeting of the most profane sort. Yet the searing energy of the nuclear blast would not wait. In the next instant, Zhao Chang'an's eyes were flooded with blinding white light. Just as the fireball of the nuclear detonation began to expand, a pair of immense hands formed of spiritual energy tore through space, whisking the trio out of the mountain cavern and depositing them on a distant peak. A middle-aged woman appeared before them. Clad in a flowing, colorful robe that she wore with the air of a merciless abbess, she bowed her head slightly to Shi Ro. The Nether Queen's power interfered. Ooh, I am late in my rescue. Please forgive this transgression, holy maiden. Elder Yuan. Shi Ro's eyes lit up. Seeing this, Zhao Chang'an quickly grasped the situation. It seemed Shi Ro's reinforcements had finally arrived. He frowned, catching the logical flaw. How could the security for a holy maiden of a grand sacred land be so lackluster? It had to be this old crone clinging to some notion of tempering the holy maiden, who had waited until the very last moment to intervene. She had been negligent in her rescue, and worse, she had forced him to waste a tactical nuclear warhead. Utterly despicable. In normal times, the Xihe military factories churned out these tactical nukes like screws. Zhao Chang'an wouldn't even need to approve it, any workshop manager could sign off. But now with warships destroyed and factories idle, this little firecracker, perfectly scaled, stunning, without brain damage, was far too precious. Zhao Chang'an felt his heart bleed. Once Wangshu finished her work, he was determined to get 100 more of these. He'd carry one over to the Yaoqi's sacred land, and knock on their door, waking those old fossils from their slumber. Xihe, having just learned of her fellow disciple's death, and survived a life-or-death ordeal, looked at her sect elder with a glimmer of tears. Elder Yuan Jr. Sister Xihe is dead. This is the sect's oversight. We did not anticipate the Abyss followers would interfere, the middle-aged woman sighed heavily. In the fight against the Abyss there are always sacrifices. She then turned her gaze toward Mount Yaoting, where a power of the blazing sun was brewing within the mountain. With a sweep of her sleeve the woman conjured a vast white barrier that enveloped the entire mountain. She marveled, this strike possesses the might of at least the nascent soul stage. Which young friend's divine ability is this? Zhao Chang'an's heart trembled. Oh no, is this old Annie going to set her sights on me? Boom! At that moment a deafening, earth-shattering roar rang out. Lu Chengfeng and Xihe both felt a tremor deep in their souls, and even the middle-aged woman furrowed her brow. In the next instant jagged cracks began to spread from the mountainside, crawling over the entire peak. The majestic Mount Yaoting swelled, spewing a storm of rocks and dust from the fissures and ravines which slammed into the white barrier. Just as the woman was about to withdraw the barrier, she frowned, sensing something was amiss. The explosion had been muted by the mountain. Now, with the entire peak shattering, the raw, unyielding power was unleashed without hindrance. A golden sun was born amidst the shattered forest, the sole, brilliant pearl between heaven and earth. The thunderous blast faded into silence, and all was still, leaving only the searing white light. The blazing radiance descended like a scorching sun, its intense blinding light, incinerating all evil and darkness, illuminating the vast wilderness and forests, leaving no shadow unexposed, until it was utterly consumed by the boundless golden light. It was as if a golden lotus had sprung from the earth to absolve all sins, or as if a god had descended, cradling the sun in their hands. At the epicenter, matter instantly vaporized and vanished like a dewdrop under a blazing sun. The golden orb swelled rapidly, and a visible shockwave carrying the force of 1,000,000 tons swept across the surrounding mountain range. Fortunately, the cultivators Xihe had stationed there were resourceful. They deployed their treasures to shield the village from the shockwave, otherwise the consequences would have been unthinkable. As the blinding light and shockwave faded, a mushroom-shaped black cloud rose, blotting out the sky. It towered dozens of times higher than the surrounding peaks, appearing all the more sinister in the faint morning light. As for the nascent soul-level defensive barrier, Yuan Xian had said it shattered under the impact of this solar explosion, dissolving into a shower of shimmering white specks. Xihe's mouth fell open and her eyes went wide. She stood frozen in place. Though it was a surprise attack, Elder Yuan was a cultivator at the return to ruin stage. A casual nascent soul barrier from her was not so easily broken. When young Master Zhao had said they might all be reduced to ashes, it seemed he wasn't just blowing smoke. As the explosion subsided, the middle-aged woman squinted at the leveled Mount Yaoting. This is a technique I've never seen in all my years. If it struck heat in, even a nascent soul cultivator wouldn't dare meet its edge. Her sharp gaze swept between Zhao Chang'an and Lu Chengfeng. Seeing them both looking at him, Zhao Chang'an knew that staying low-key was no longer an option. Senior, this is a fortunate encounter I stumbled upon. It has many limitations. If you are interested, I could explain it to you later, Zhao Chang'an replied cautiously. Yuan Xian, the middle-aged woman as a senior, rarely offered her name. She studied Zhao Chang'an for a moment, then shook her head slightly. I'm not interested in your fortune. It's a pity you are not a woman who otherwise you could cultivate at our Yaoqi's sacred land. Seeing her frank answer and hint of recruitment, Zhao Chang'an's wariness eased slightly. With Wangshu still silent, his priority was to placate this stern abbess. If she took a fancy to his treasure and sought to kill him for it, he would be utterly defenseless. Only Lu Chengfeng was oblivious to the tension. His eyes sparkling with curiosity, he asked, Brother Zhao, what is this technique called? Hydrogen. Zhao Chang'an started, but feeling Yuan Xian's oppressive aura, he knew better than to joke. Clearing his throat, he said gravely, Raging sun, setting sea. It was the first time Lu Chengfeng had seen Zhao Chang'an so serious, and he sensed the weight of those 4 words. Might like a raging sea, brilliance like a blazing sun, wait, like a setting sun, Lu Chengfeng murmured. As he watched a ray of dawn light rise on the horizon, inspiration struck, and he sat down cross-legged on the spot. He had remained at the foundation establishment stage because he had failed to find his own sword intent. Now he believed he had found it. The seated youth frowned deeply as spiritual energy gathered around him, shrouding him in a faint shimmering haze. Xihe was startled by the sight. An epiphany. In the next moment the wind and clouds stirred. The sun finally rose, casting a golden dawn light upon Lu Chengfeng. Lu Qingfeng activated his lightsaber and swung it once. With a resonant hum, a purple-golden sword radiance rippled outward. The youth's sword rose with the sun, and a purple aura came from the east for 30,000 miles. The sword energy swirling around Lu Qingfeng converged before his dantian, and a small golden core suddenly materialized. The moment it appeared, the spiritual energy of the four directions gathered upon it. Boom, boom, boom. Layer upon layer the golden core stacked, reaching the 8th layer in but a moment. Xihe was astonished. An 8-revolution golden core. In the next instant, Lu Qingfeng heard an old man's voice in his mind. Qingfeng, let this old man give you a hand. A clear ringing sword cry resounded through heaven and earth, and the final revolution of Lu Qingfeng's golden core began to take form. A 9-revolution golden core, just like mine. Xihe's eyes held not only shock, but also the joy of finding a rival. Unexpectedly, Yuan Xian spoke up. With a transparent sword heart physique, the aid of a 9-revolution golden core, and an unfathomable fortune. Holy Maiden, he will become your archenemy on the path to the throne. In this age of contending stars, though countless prodigies shone brilliantly, only one could reach the ultimate imperial realm, that legendary state, half a step from immortality. Xihe was taken aback. Elder Yuan, your meaning? I don't quite understand. Meanwhile, far away in the sword-hiding sacred land of Yangzhou, a middle-aged man slowly opened his eyes in his cave dwelling, gazing toward Qingzhou. Such an extraordinary sword intent. Who is breaking through? In the next moment, a figure shot out from the highest peak of the sword-hiding sacred land. The elders and disciples below were all astonished. The sacred lord has come out of seclusion. Annihilation Decree T501 Nuclear Warhead Grade T4 Highest T0. Type, small-scale high-lethality weapon. Prerequisite technology: hydrogen isotope extraction, uranium enrichment, atomic-level technology, application of the mass energy equation. The Annihilation Decree is the Federation's umbrella term for all weapons capable of mass slaughter, civilization annihilation, and even the destruction of star systems. In the Federation's current era, the vast sequence of Annihilation Decrees has given rise to many weapons far more destructive and deterrent than nuclear arms. Any T3-level Annihilation Decree can easily cover a larger area of devastation than a nuclear bomb. Yet the Federation never forgets that the Annihilation Decree sequence officially began with the advent of nuclear weapons. The nuclear bomb, as the first genocidal weapon mastered by the Federation, marked humanity's first ability to contend with, dominate, and destroy nature. How could a planetary civilization struggling to survive on the meager energy scattered by a star ever grasp the very laws that star wields? These usurpers walking the earth in the tiniest of structures have finally seized the forbidden might of the heavens. Ode to the raging sun, setting sea. The raging sun cries long, the setting sun burns, a flare descends bringing heavenly fire. The moon rises over wild clouds rolling, only evil turns to mist and waves. Could it be that Xihe from the sky has seized the day? Hard to sing the ninering golden crows fall. Mountains shatter, seas burn, stars align, illuminating shadows, cleansing all demons. Boom. The oppressive aura of a return to void realm expert suddenly burst forth, and Zhao Chang'an instantly felt as if a 1,000-ton mountain was pressing on his shoulders. His heart skipped a beat, his blood ran cold, and the smile on his face froze before he could retract it. This was the killing intent of a return to void realm expert. Lu Qingfeng's talent had aroused Yuan Xian's wariness. As an elder of Yao Qi, she intended to eliminate a future obstacle for her holy maiden in this desolate wilderness. Witnessing the high-ranking member of the Yao Qi sacred land ruthlessly murdering a young prodigy, Zhao Chang'an did not believe he could leave this place alive. Lu Qingfeng was a future threat to Xihe, and he himself, who could unleash a divine transformation-level strike, was no different. Lu Qingfeng was also disturbed by Yuan Xian's formidable pressure. He let out a muffled groan, but dared not make any move, focusing all his strength on stabilizing his golden core. If it had been a bit earlier, he could have given up on condensing the 9th-layer golden core and fled with all his might, or borrowed the power of the old man in his mind to fight with full force. But now the old man's power was nearly exhausted, uncertain whether it could sustain a battle against a return to void realm expert, and his golden core had already entered the 9th-layer condensation like an arrow on the bowstring that must be released. Xihe was also enveloped by the indiscriminate pressure, her body stiff. She could only speak with difficulty. Elder Yuan. Lu Qingfeng is a good man. You cannot kill him. Yuan Xian's expression was stern, showing no concession. Holy maiden, in this generation, you must become an emperor. Any unexpected factor should be eliminated. Xihe took a difficult step forward, blocking Lu Qingfeng. A path to emperorship without strong enemies is meaningless. Yuan Xian's pressure intensified. Holy maiden, step aside. This old one will clear all obstacles along your path. I will bear all these karmic ties and consequences alone. You cannot bear it. Zhao Chang'an's voice resounded with vigor. Just moments ago, the earpiece of the Pejuan mecha had emitted a long-awaited sound. Wang Shu's research was complete. Wang Shu, activate the star-annihilating cannon and lock onto this old hag. Zhao Chang'an commanded. Although the Xinyuan star-annihilating cannon was severely damaged and lacked energy, it still retained its target-locking function. As the Federation's most advanced star-annihilating weapon, its targeting method was naturally not a simple three-point alignment, but rather locked onto the entire space where the target was located. The return to Void Realm was the earliest realm to touch spatial power, and its sensitivity to spatial forces was naturally extremely high. Within a single breath, Yuan Xian sensed the anomaly. Accompanied by a great roar that ordinary people could not perceive, the space she occupied was locked onto by an unfamiliar force. This power was not strong even still in its pre-charge phase, but to Yuan Xian it felt indescribably. Yuan Xian felt as if she was being stared at by a reclusive grandmaster. An extreme chill penetrated to her marrow, cold sweat streaming from her brow, and she dared not make any move. Having temporarily intimidated Yuan Xian with the star-annihilating cannon, Zhao Chang'an dared not relax in the slightest, frantically pondering ways to break the deadlock in his mind. The current star-annihilating cannon was severely lacking in energy and utterly incapable of launching an attack. Once Yuan Xian discovered the anomaly, the two of them would still have no escape from death. Just as the situation fell into a stalemate, a figure broke through the air. The newcomer was a middle-aged man clad in a cyan robe, cradling a longsword. His gaze was extremely sharp, as if it could pierce through time and space. His bearing was grand and majestic, inspiring awe. The moment he appeared, the previously locked space returned to normal, and Yuan Xian's pressure quietly dissipated. "You are." Yuan Xian looked at the newcomer and uttered with difficulty, "Zhang Jian, Sacred Lord." The middle-aged man paid no heed to Yuan Xian, instead turning to look at Lu Chengfeng. With a gentle wave of his hand, a golden light screen rose around Lu Chengfeng. Was he protecting Lu Chengfeng during his breakthrough? The next moment, the middle-aged man reached out and grabbed empty space, gathering all the spiritual energy from the surrounding area into his palm, then sending it toward the light screen around Lu Chengfeng. With the massive support of spiritual energy, the ninth-layer golden core finally overcame the final hurdle. A vast tide of spiritual energy surged outward, and Lu Chengfeng opened his eyes, divine light shining in his pupils, and sword aura swirling around him. He bowed to the middle-aged man. "Thank you, senior, for your assistance." Only then was my 9-turn golden core fully perfected. The middle-aged man's expression remained aloof. "That sword intent just now, was it one you comprehended?" Lu Chengfeng nodded respectfully. "My name is Yi Tianran, the current sacred lord of the Zhang Jian Sacred Land. Would you be willing to take me as your master?" The middle-aged man was evidently not good with words, speaking directly. Zhang Jian Sacred Land. One of the 6 sacred lands and a sacred place that all sword cultivators under heaven aspire to. Seeing this, Lu Chengfeng immediately knelt and performed the Kowtow ritual. "Your disciple, Lu Chengfeng, pays respects to master." "Good." A faint, almost imperceptible smile appeared on Yi Tianran's face. Then he turned to Yuan Xian. "When I last met Song Yining, I did not see you by her side. I presume you have recently advanced to the return to Void Realm within the last century. Your killing intent is too strong, your temperament too poor, your vision too narrow. In this life you will hardly achieve anything more." Yi Tianran's tone grew colder as he spoke. Song Yining was the name of the Yaoqi Sacred Land's sacred lord. Only those of the same level would dare to address her by her given name so openly. Yi Tianran's words were calm, but chilling at this time of the return to void calamity. "If you harm a genius of our race, even if I kill you on the spot, Song Yining cannot say a word against me." Yuan Xian now wore an expression of resigned determination. She opened her mouth to speak, but found that she had already lost her voice. Hearing the shift in Yi Tianran's tone, Shiro immediately bowed and spoke. "Senior, Yi, please, for the sake of my master, spare Elder Yuan. When we return to the sacred land, I will ask my master to punish her." Yi Tianran glanced at Shiro, his expression softening slightly. "Your character and talent are both excellent, but you lack some tempering. Song Yining has taken in a fine disciple." The next moment, Yuan Xian's left arm was severed at the shoulder. Everyone was stunned. They saw no sword light nor knew when the sword was drawn. A return to Void Realm cultivator had been instantly disarmed. "Lu Chengfeng is now my disciple. You harbored murderous intent toward him, so I have cut off 100 years of your cultivation, a small punishment to serve as a warning. Do you have any objections?" This is why people say sword cultivators are the most troublesome among cultivators. Their combat power is too strong, their killing intent too heavy, and their minds too straightforward. Yuan Xian's cold sweat soaked her robes, and at this moment, she could only shake her head. Just then another figure broke through the air, the Yaoqi Sacred Lord Song Yining. "Yi Tianran, 100 years gone, and your straightforward nature hasn't changed at all." The enchanting woman appeared first, teasing Yi Tianran a few words, then casting a cold glance at Yuan Xian, an elder of Yaoqi. "If this gets out, it will be a laughingstock." Return to the Hall of Discipline and accept your punishment. With that, Yuan Xian finally broke free from the killing, intense suppression of the great vehicle realm expert, picked up her severed arm from the ground, and left in disgrace. With the troublemaker gone, the two sacred lords no longer paid attention to their own disciples, instead turning their gazes simultaneously toward Zhao Chang'an. Young friend, Zhao, may we speak in private? For a moment, Zhao Chang'an felt the pressure mounting. The so-called speaking in private was merely the two sacred lords waving their hands to create a pure white space, isolating everything around them. In the moment the space expanded, the information link between Wangshu and Zhao Chang'an was severed. Young friend, Zhao carries many karmic threads behind you, ones even I cannot see through. Truly fascinating. Yi Tianran spoke first. Song Yining also looked at Zhao Chang'an with amusement. I wonder if you could reveal a little about the power behind you. Zhao Chang'an frowned slightly. With Wangshu backing him and bearing great karmic threads like world crossing, it was natural for such powerful figures to take notice. Since he was pressed for an answer, Zhao Chang'an felt he should say something. He hadn't lived long enough. He didn't want to be killed on the spot as an outsider spy. Two seniors, I cannot reveal too much about my origins. I can only speak a little within the bounds permitted by the Heavenly Dao. Hearing the words Heavenly Dao, both of them narrowed their eyes. I come from an ancient kingdom, one whose antiquity far exceeds the combined history of the 6 great sacred lands. My kingdom was destroyed by the Guishu, and through a twist of fate, I crossed the river of time to arrive in the present world. When speaking with great figures, one must mix truth with falsehood, speaking truth as if it were a lie, letting them interpret it themselves. After all, who knows if the cultivation world has means of detecting deceit? The Star Federation's history was indeed longer than the 6 sacred lands combined, and it was indeed destroyed by creatures similar to the Guishu, and he had indeed traversed the river of time. Both sacred lords appeared deep in thought. Finally, Song Yining spoke. Since you are an enemy of the Guishu, you shall gain the friendship of the Jade Pool. Yi Tianran then added, the Hidden Sword sacred land bears no hostility toward the ancient kingdom either. We hope your arrival will bring a turning point to this world. Zhao Chang'an remained outwardly calm, but inwardly breathed a sigh of relief, having managed to fob them off. As the white space dispersed, he saw that Lu Chengfeng and Shi Rou had somehow started fighting. Zhao Chang'an was about to step forward when Yi Tianran stopped him. Don't worry, it's just a spar. Where there is bloodlust, there will be a fighting heart. As prodigies in an age of great contention, they naturally long to test their mettle against equals. Seeing that the two were not in serious trouble, Zhao Chang'an stopped paying attention to the battlefield and instead re-established the Mech's spiritual link to communicate with Wangshu. Captain, a few days apart, and you've stirred up quite a commotion. Even tactical nuclear warheads were used. Zhao Chang'an gave an awkward smile and changed the subject. You've been gone so long, how's the spiritual energy conversion coming along? I've developed a way to fully replace the original energy source with spiritual energy. The efficiency is slightly inferior to the ultra-high-dimensional particle engine, but given that we can't obtain those particles now, it's the best option. Also, Zhao Chang'an sensed something ominous. To repair Xihe sooner, it'll need the captain to earn a lot of spirit stones, then it's nothing. Seeing the captain's lack of enthusiasm, Wangshu comforted him. Captain, taking good care of me will only bring benefits. This time I prepared a good thing for you, but it requires a tiny bit of psychological preparation. Listening to Wangshu's build-up, Zhao Chang'an's eyelids twitched. Are you sure it's a good thing? Wangshu said in an innocent tone, of course it's a good thing. With the captain's cultivation talent, condensing a golden core would take at least 300 years. So I referenced the Federation's microreactor technology and combined it with the golden core you sent up to create the first-generation mechanical golden core. Also called a micro-spiritual energy reactor, twice the size of a normal golden core, but 348 times the power. Good heavens, a modded golden core. 348 times. At that rate, a golden core cultivator might punch through a nascent soul in one blow. So what's this psychological hurdle you mentioned? Wangshu's tone suddenly turned serious. This golden core needs to be implanted by digging a hole in the captain's abdomen. And as technology upgrades, the captain's original parts will likely become fewer and fewer. Hearing that, Zhao Chang'an felt a chill in his abdomen. Fortunately, it was just the abdomen. Acceptable for now as long as it didn't involve his manhood. Both the paths of technological evolution and spiritual evolution are irreversible. Once the captain chooses the technological path, he can never return to traditional cultivation. Contrary to Wangshu's expectations, Zhao Chang'an didn't hesitate. Then he'll take the tech path. With Xihe as a treasure trove, if I still went through the drudgery of absorbing qi into my body, I'd be a fool. Can any man resist the allure of mechanical ascension? No. If there is, it's only for 2 reasons. 1. The mech isn't cool enough. 2. The ascension would come at the cost of his manhood. Having received Zhao Chang'an's permission, Wangshu immediately began making arrangements. Zhao Chang'an's thoughts were pulled back to reality by the intense explosions. Looking up, he saw Lu Chengfeng, and Xihe blasted apart to the left and right. Both were favored children of destiny. The notions of being undefeated at the same level or overcoming higher realms lost meaning. But Xihe had been at the Golden Core stage longer, giving her a significant advantage over Lu Qingfeng, who had just broken through. Had it not been for Lu Qingfeng's fierce and explosive sword intent, he would not have been able to match Xihe even. Zhao Chang'an watched as the two leaped about like monkeys, neutralizing each other's attacks with their own, creating bursts of fireworks in the air. Were all cultivation battles this dull and tedious? Wangshu, if I pilot the Pejuan mech, can I go up and break up the fight? According to calculations, if the captain pilots it personally, there's an 87.6 chance of getting beaten up by them. That's underestimating me. But if I remotely control the captain's mech, I have a 94.3 chance of successfully mediating. Zhao Chang'an's eyes widened. Good heavens, I can call in a ringer. I choose you, Wangshuchen. Then with a sly grin, he piloted the Pejuan mech to fly between the two. Stop fighting. This way nobody dies. The two, already locked in fierce combat, both faltered at his words, nearly falling from the sky. This way nobody dies. What kind of nonsense is that? The two elders watching from the side exchanged glances, their expressions odd. Though young friend Zhao was gifted and possessed many mysteries, his words and actions were somewhat beyond the norm, unbound by worldly conventions. Zhao Chang'an looked at the two on either side. This kind of fight is too boring. Who knows when it will end? How about a different approach? What approach? Lu Qingfeng asked. Unknown. Xihe frowned. Unknown. Aren't Lu Qingfeng and I already doing unknown? Zhao Chang'an shook his head repeatedly. No. I mean me alone against both of you, and I promise not to use Surging Sunset first. What? Hearing that, Lu Qingfeng's fists clenched. His fists. Lu Qingfeng and Xihe exchanged a glance, gradually reaching a consensus. So arrogant. Beat him up. The next moment, Zhao Chang'an immediately relinquished control of the mech, switching to Wangshu's piloting. The mech's holographic radar keenly captured Lu Qingfeng's grip on his sword. Then his entire body was modeled and analyzed. The supercomputer instantly calculated the state of each muscle and joint, deducing 31 possible movement trajectories. Wangshu piloted the Pejuan mech to fly left. Then, at the instant Lu Qingfeng's sword chi struck, executed an in-air spin with reverse thrust. The blue tail flame of the thrusters showed 7 layers of Mach rings. In that single moment, as Lu Qingfeng's sword light arrived, the Pejuan mech had just vacated its previous position, the blade grazing past the reactor on its chest. Holy crap! Zhao Chang'an felt every hair on his body stand on end, adrenaline surging. How is this woman so thrilling when she fights? But Wangshu had no spare thought for the captain's mental state. She was fully engaged in computing and process. Sword trajectory route 28, prediction successful. Logged into the computation library. Beginning analysis of target's attack habits. Sword trajectory route 28, prediction successful. Logged into the computation library. Another in-air spin with reverse thrust. This time the gap between the sword light and the mech was larger, a full palm's width. Xihe disdained a sneak attack from behind. She flashed to Lu Qingfeng's side, her spiritual energy surging as a massive fist imprint came straight at them. Compared to the condensed and blazing sword, Xihe's fist imprint was more open and forceful. Though the dispersion of power weakened its impact, the larger attack area made it impossible for the Pejuan mech to dodge. Ion shield full power. The golden fist imprint slammed into Zhao Chang'an's ion shield, sending sparks flying, but it did not breach the mech's defense. Xihe was not discouraged. Instead, she smiled slightly. Her purpose had been achieved. The mech, forced to stop to withstand the fist imprint, was fully captured by Lu Qingfeng. The next moment, an even more blazing sword intent struck. Brother Zhao, look at this move. How similar is it to Surging Sunset? Hearts that play tactics are all dirty. Xihe was, and so was Wangshu. Thus, when two such tacticians collide, it boils down to who plays dirtier. Clearly, when it came to cunning, Xihe could not outmatch that woman. As early as Xihe entered the fray, Wangshu had already factored into her calculations all 173 possible actions Xihe might take, as well as the subtle tightening of Lu Qingfeng's grip on his sword hilt when the mecha halted to withstand the fist imprint. At that moment, Wangshu resembled an old white-haired man, smiling as he held a chess piece, observing two children scratching their heads in bewilderment across the board. Truly an old sage toying with a child still having the leisure to warm a pot of tea. The next instant, the Pejuan mecha sequentially deactivated its ion shield zones from left to right, allowing the residual shockwave of the fist imprint to reach the mecha's surface ahead of the sword chi. The surge flooding in from the left sent the mecha hurtling to the right. Lu Qingfeng's sword intent once again grazed the mecha's outer armor. Brilliant! Zhao Chang'an exclaimed, stunned by Wangshu's maneuver, unable to help praising. Perhaps it was like those players watching Federal game live streams in his past life. Though he was mediocre and not the one executing the moves, it did not stop him from finding them cool. The two elders watching from the sidelines both had sparkling eyes. using the residual force of an enemy's attack to propel oneself away from danger, creating the most advantageous battle situation at minimal cost. Such seasoned combat tactics, technique, and instinct could only be honed through countless life and death trials. This inherently pure-hearted and lively young friend, Zhao, must indeed have an extraordinary background. On the battlefield, the balance of offense and defense shifted subtly. Skill was but part of one's strength. Power was equally important. Before exquisite technique, the advantage of power could be infinitely weakened, likewise before absolute power, technique would become meaningless. Wang Shu's logic was as follows: to mediate a quarrel, one must make both parties convinced and respectful. Such respect was founded on one's own strength. The simplest way to make the other side aware of one's strength was to beat them into submission. Thus, mediating meant beating both sides into submission, flawless reasoning. To achieve submission, mere technique was insufficient. A blue lightsaber sprang from the left arm of the Pejuan mecha, and its thrusters ignited at full power, charging toward Lu Chengfeng in the blink of an eye. Sensing the blazing energy on the blue lightsaber, Lu Chengfeng grasped Zhao Chang'an's intention. His eyes blazed with battle fervor. "Brother Zhao, are you going to show me the true sword intent of surging waves and setting sun?" Understanding Zhao Chang'an's goodwill, Lu Chengfeng neither dodged nor retreated. The morning light sword in his hand pulsed with purple-gold sword chi as he swung it heat-in toward the blue lightsaber. As the purple, gold, and blue radiance collided, a harsh screech erupted. Constraint force field rupture detected. Plasma lightsaber, imminent loss of control. Could Brother Lu's sword actually cut through the confinement magnetic field of our own lightsaber? This must be the power of sword intent. At the system's warning, Wang Shu instantly activated the mecha's shield, cut off the lightsaber's energy supply, and kicked Lu Chengfeng out of the explosion's epicenter. The next moment, the high-temperature plasma freed from its magnetic confinement erupted like a solar flare. Lu Chengfeng channeled his spiritual energy to block, yet still felt an overwhelming pressure akin to mountains crashing down and a scorching sun besieging the city. Suddenly, Yi Tianran appeared, simply grasping into the void. The concentrated plasma explosion was imprisoned in his hand, compressed, and ultimately annihilated into nothingness. Rescued by his master, Lu Chengfeng's eyes sparkled with envy and longing. Is this the true surging waves and setting sun? Zhao Chang'an gave a hearty laugh. "Brother Lu, allow me to present you with a verse. The highest sword path I envision is just like this verse. The hall blooms with flowers intoxicating 3,000 guests. One sword's chill light spans 14 prefectures." These words struck everyone present like a hammer. One sword's chill light spans 14 prefectures. Lu Chengfeng looked up at Zhao Chang'an, his eyes filled with awe. "Brother Zhao, what a genius to conceive such a magnificent realm." Coincidentally, this world comprised two major factions. Humanity ruled the eastern lands, totaling 9 prefectures. The demon race occupied the western lands, 5 prefectures, exactly 14. Zhao Chang'an gazed at the purple gold lightsaber in Lu Chengfeng's hand. "My ambition does not lie in the sword, so I entrust this blade to you. I hope one day you will reach that supreme height and behold the breathtaking scenery at the peak of the sword path for me." As Lu Chengfeng remained immersed in the lingering sentiment of one sword's chill light spans 14 prefectures, Yi Tianran approached Zhao Chang'an and handed him a uniquely carved jade token. "Young friend Zhao, please accept this guest elder token of the sword hidden sacred ground. Consider it a bond of goodwill with our sect." Knowing it was likely a nominal position with no actual obligations, Zhao Chang'an took it with a smile, then turned to Shiro. "Miss Sure care for another round?" Shiro's eyes blazed with battle fervor. "Come on, Zhao Chang'an." The Pejuan mecha charged at Shiro as its left arm's mechanical modules rapidly reconfigured, assembling a pulse-heavy fist. Reading the trajectory of Shiro's incoming punch, the Pejuan mecha raised its left arm and launched its pulse-heavy fist simultaneously. The delicate white fist collided with the pulse-iron fist, sending a visible shockwave rippling outward. Both were thrown backward by the immense force. Shiro rubbed her sore wrist, while on the Pejuan mecha's side a fist imprint 2 inches deep was etched into the alloy gauntlet of the pulse-heavy fist. With such terrifying physical constitution and energy density, if one married Shiro, they'd never have to worry about opening a bottle cap, would they? This strength could probably unscrew my skull without issue. Thinking this, Zhao Chang'an couldn't help shivering. The next moment, Shiro leaped high into the sky, spiritual light swirling around her, her eyes blazing with exhilaration. "Zhao Chang'an, taste this move of mine." A silver divine light shot from between her brows, hurtling straight toward Zhao Chang'an. Song Yining, watching from the sidelines, narrowed her eyes. Only she knew the terrifying power of Shiro's full-force heaven's tribulation light. Any ordinary golden core cultivator facing it would face certain death. The Pejuan mecha instantly transformed as well. 2 support pillars extended from its back to the ground, and countless mechanical components assembled rapidly around the chest's ion reactor. A fearsome heavy cannon took shape. Beam clash. Wang Shu is this bold? Zhao Chang'an thought of the woman on the battleship and felt his heart quiver and his liver tremble. The next instant terrifying laser energy surged forth, colliding Heaton with the heaven's tribulation light. They say beam clashes always favor the left, but when it came to his own beam clash, which side was left and which was right? Zhao Chang'an glanced at the spectators standing to his left. From their perspective, Xihe was on the left. Aha, that settled. Indeed, as the mecha's core operated at full power, the heaven's tribulation light retreated layer by layer until it was completely extinguished. The Pajuan mecha then dimmed. Its entire plasma reactor had been depleted. Xihe was blasted away by the laser, landing ungracefully. Staring at Zhao Chang'an, she pursed her lips. What is this move called? Zhao Chang'an tilted his head, thinking for a moment. Let's call it Moon Fong Heaven Rush. Xihe dusted off her clothes, grinned, foolishly revealing a pair of sparkling fangs. This time I lost, but next time I'm coming to fight you again. Zhao Chang'an scratched his head, thinking he had already given Brother Lu a verse. He couldn't leave Sister Xihe empty-handed. He had to come up with an inspiring motto. Sacred Maiden Xihe once, by a twist of fate, crossed the river of time and witnessed the splendor of a supreme being with an imperishable bone. He walked the same path as you, but his sufferings were 1,000 times harsher. A saying of his remains etched in my memory, and I pass it to you today. Who dares to claim invincibility? Who can boast of never falling? Even the era of Emperor Fall saw none. In the future, should I stand above the myriad ages, I shall share time with all of you. These words struck Xihe's heart like a hammer, as if a profound will traverse the boundless void, resonating with her very soul. The era of Emperor Fall. Yi Tianran's eye sharpened. Young friend Zhao has actually seen a powerhouse from the era of Emperor Fall. Young friend Zhao had mentioned that his nation had a long history, but that it predated the era of Emperor Fall was beyond Yi Tianran's expectations. Zhao Chang'an was taken aback. He had only spoken casually. Could there really be an era of Emperor Fall? Glancing at the two sacred lords beside him, he had no choice but to brazenly fabricate a tale. Now there was no room for truth. He could only hope the two mighty figures wouldn't use a truth-detecting spell on him. The Guishu Forbidden Zone of the era of Emperor Fall, because of its imposing and malevolent aura, was called the Mightful Forbidden Zone. At a glance, the blood sea surged, mountains of corpses piled high, bloodlight towered, and killing intent overflowed. Only an immortal emperor could set foot in this realm. Countless ancestors fought bloodily for humanity there, yet none returned. Everywhere lay fallen tribulation transcendence cultivators and emperors who had shed their blood. The outlaw Zhang San the Great, once so astonishingly brilliant with cultivation, peerless throughout the ages and unmatched under heaven, entered that mightful forbidden zone. He was struck by a terrifying existence. His physical body shattered, cultivation lost, and only a wisp of divine thought escaped to warn posterity, do not trespass into the forbidden zone unless you have reached the Emperor realm. That era when Guishu originated thus came to be called the era of Emperor Fall. The era of Emperor Fall, the mightful forbidden zone. Was it truly so terrifying? Lu Qingfeng listened, his face full of yearning. After a moment of eerie silent song, Yining slowly approached Zhao Chang'an, bringing a fragrant breeze. She placed a jade-carved lily in his hand. Young friend Zhao, you are most welcome to visit my jade pool in your leisure time. Our sacred land has no shortage of beautiful celestial maidens. Another guest elder token. Zhao Chang'an accepted it respectfully. Now that the sparring session was over, the two sacred lords prepared to leave with their disciples. Xihe waved at Zhao Chang'an. Zhao Chang'an, this is the jade marrow brightening pill I promised you. Its effects are formidable. Once I've cultivated well, I'll come back to fight you. Zhao Chang'an smiled faintly and took the ring Xihe handed over. Then, recalling the fist imprint on his pulse thrust gauntlet, the corner of his mouth twitched. Whoever marries this woman must have been cursed by 8 generations of bad luck. Lu Qingfeng stepped forward and asked, Brother Zhao, you mentioned earlier that your ambition does not lie in the sword path. May I ask where your ambition truly lies? When we meet again, we can spar another bout. Zhao Chang'an smirked. Ship path, the character ship with the boat radical. With that, he turned to leave. His left foot stepped forward. He couldn't move. He switched to his right foot, still stuck. Looking down, he realized his mech had exhausted its energy during the fight with Xihe. Without energy, Zhao Chang'an couldn't even move the heavy Pajuan mech. Lu Qingfeng and Xihe looked at Zhao Chang'an, who stood rooted to the spot. We are about to depart. Brother Zhao, aren't you leaving? Zhao Chang'an sighed deeply. After this parting, good times and fine scenes will be wasted on me. I'll see you off with my gaze. Go on ahead. Lu Qingfeng and Xihe both reddened around the eyes and clasped their fists solemnly. The future is long. Take care, brother Zhao. Chang'an. Watching the two groups tear through space and vanish, Zhao Chang'an immediately crashed to the ground with a loud clang, mech and all. His frail body couldn't even move the mech. Without his mech and equipment, he was nothing. Wangshu, can the mechanical golden core plan begin? Captain, are you certain you want to proceed with the mechanical golden core plan? Yes. Understood. The anti-gravity boarding pod has been deployed and will guide you to the Xihe. Zhao Chang'an stuffed the Pejun mech and the pill Shiro had given him into his ring and waited for the boarding pod to arrive. Soon a boarding pod about the size of 2 Kirin tanks descended slowly from high altitude, its anti-gravity device active. The pod's outer layer was clad in deep black armor with 1 foot-wide portholes on each side. Zhao Chang'an smiled slightly and stepped into the boarding pod. Sitting in the seat, he felt a gentle acceleration as the pod carried him away from the surface. After rising for tens of minutes at this altitude, one would normally see the full view of the planet. Yet aside from the vast sky and increasingly blurry continent, Zhao Chang'an noticed nothing unusual. Captain, take a look outside the southeast porthole. It's quite interesting. Wang Shu's voice echoed in the boarding pod. A massive golden fireball was passing by from the southeast. Such an incredible sight would have shattered the worldview of countless Federation scientists in his past life. Yet in this world it existed so vividly. The Law Sun and the Law Moon. When I was short on resources, I once thought of harnessing the power of the Law Sun. But later I realized it's utterly impossible. Wang Shu's tone was full of disbelief. You simply cannot imagine. The energy contained in these 2 celestial bodies cannot even be resolved by the largest energy analysis instrument aboard the Xihe. The energy they carry is likely on the order of Graham's number. Graham's number is unimaginably huge, impossible to express in scientific notation, not even with exponential towers like A. And even mathematicians struggle to comprehend it. Wouldn't that mean an inexhaustible source of energy? Zhao Chang'an was stunned. If so, did it mean the matter and energy of this star were immortal and never wore out? If someone could harness the power of the Law Sun and Law Moon, could they become the true immortals of this cult? Of course, as the supreme original power of the mystical side, it would be far too cheap if it could be easily utilized and controlled by technological means. At least with current Federation technology, it was impossible to change or affect this glaring behemoth. After staring for a while, his eyes began to redden and tear up. Zhao Chang'an finally looked away and turned his gaze to the ground. Captain, the place where you first landed was Qingzhou in the eastern Earth continent located in the southeast. Our Xihe is now continuing south at high altitude. Even though this world had a dome-shaped heaven and square Earth, the Xihe still maintained a path similar to a high-altitude orbit. Zhao Chang'an looked up. The Xihe warship at high altitude was already visible in the distance. He had only heard Wang Shu say that the Xihe was severely damaged, but how severe? Zhao Chang'an had only received a vague number 95. Now that he actually saw the Xihe, the devastation on the warship was horrifying. The Zai's famed Eastern Sovereign Ion shield had gone completely dark. The outer armor and turrets were almost entirely shattered with gaping holes and cracks everywhere. Only the eternal gold skeleton of the ship barely maintained the Zai's original shape. Numbers were always pale and powerless. Only after witnessing it firsthand did Zhao Chang'an understand what severe damage really meant. Soon the boarding pod docked with the Xihe. The hatch slowly opened, and Zhao Chang'an stepped onto the Zai's deck again, slightly dazed. It had been some time since he had last been aboard the Xihe. Returning to this familiar place now stirred a poignant sense of things having changed. Captain, this is the only repaired docking bay. The medical bay prepared for you is 3 kilometers away. The track system hasn't been restored, so you'll need to walk. The route is complex. Please follow this maintenance robot. Zhao Chang'an nodded. The maintenance robot spun around on the ground, then turned on its lights and headed into the darkness of the warship. Along the way, shattered pipes and circuits lay everywhere. Numerous repair robots scurried back and forth, fixing each breach. After a 30-minute walk, he finally reached the medical station Wang Shu had prepared. Captain, please, Wang Shu said with a smile. Zhao Chang'an took a deep breath, clenched his teeth, and stepped into the medical bay. Within the medical bay, a massive metal treatment table dominated the center, surrounded by 4 fully automated robotic arms at each corner. The walls were lined with densely packed storage cabinets, displaying an array of pharmaceuticals and instruments. Approaching the treatment table, he saw a wristband lying quietly upon it. Zhao Chang'an hesitated no longer. He stripped off his clothes, put on the wristband, and laid down on the metal table. Contrary to his expectations, the table was not cold. Wang Shu had already adjusted it to a comfortable human temperature. A robotic arm extended, injecting a pale brown liquid into Zhao Chang'an's body. This was an advanced anesthetic developed by the Federation, capable of completely eliminating pain while maintaining full consciousness. Meanwhile, another robotic arm emitted a purple beam of light that scanned Zhao Chang'an's body from head to toe, performing a thorough sterilization. As the preparation process concluded, he saw no scalpels or other gleaming surgical instruments. Instead, a robotic arm grasped a silver sphere the size of an egg and extended it beneath Zhao Chang'an's abdomen. Holy crap, it's that big. How is that supposed to fit in? Zhao Chang'an's eyes widened like copper bells. Captain, please remain calm. This is the medical nanomaterial encasing the spiritual energy reaction core. Do not judge the most advanced technology aboard the Xihe by traditional medical standards. Well, Zhao Chang'an's side stiffened his neck and assumed a resigned posture, as if surrendering to the As the silver sphere gradually approached Zhao Chang'an's abdomen, the outer silver coating rippled like waves, revealing a spiritual energy reaction core approximately 3 centimeters in diameter at its center. The silver nanomaterial waves gently contacted Zhao Chang'an's skin, continuously decomposing and relocating cellular tissue, then tore open a massive gap out of thin air. The surging silver metal slowly delivered the reaction core into Zhao Chang'an's abdomen. The next moment, Zhao Chang'an felt a sour swelling sensation rising from his lower abdomen, spreading outward toward his limbs and head. This was the violent collision of surging spiritual energy within Zhao Chang'an's delicate meridians. This crude method of widening the meridians, known as marrow cleansing and meridian forging, was supposed to be an excruciating torment, yet under the influence of the highly effective anesthetic it felt no more than a tickle. Is this it? This is marrow cleansing. Zhao Chang'an scratched his neck, feeling bored and unimpressed. Suddenly he blinked as if struck by a thought. Wangshu, can I take the jade marrow illuminating pill that Shiro gave me now? After comprehensive assessment, this action would significantly enhance the fusion effect of the mechanical golden core, but there is a 13.4 risk probability. A 90% safety rate. That high. Zhao Chang'an's eyes lit up upon hearing this. As a veteran player of a certain and scrupulous gacha game from the Federation, he could hit the jackpot, even with a 1180 probability. Now with a 60% chance, it was almost laughably easy. All in, go all in. Zhao Chang'an took out the ring Shiro had given him, retrieved the pill directly, and tossed it into his mouth. Then he casually glanced inside the ring's spatial storage. Wangshu, Shiro also gave me a lot of spirit stones. Catching the keyword spirit stones, Wangshu immediately became excited. How many spirit stones? Zhao Chang'an took a brief look and gave up immediately. They're too dense to count. Do you think everyone has the same computational power as you? Then I'll put the spirit stones on the Xihe later. You can count them yourself, even sleep on top of them if you want. Just as he was pondering how many spirit stones he still needed, a sudden excruciating pain erupted throughout his limbs and body, causing such intense discomfort that Zhao Chang'an nearly vomited. Damn it, why isn't the Federation's anesthetic working? The sensory signals have exceeded the threshold limit. Wangshu operated the robotic arms, scanning Zhao Chang'an's condition while injecting various emergency medications to prevent shock and infarction caused by the extreme pain. The heart-wrenching agony was like brushing the internal organs with a fine-toothed barbed wire brush, then dousing them with chilly water and strong acid. Zhao Chang'an struggled and rolled off the treatment table, his mouth wide open, but he had already lost the strength to scream. The next moment, he vaguely saw countless vein-like patterns glowing on his body, with the brightest point at the center of his abdomen. The mechanical golden core, namely the spiritual energy reaction core, had overloaded. Boom! Guided by the efficacy of the jade marrow illuminating pill, countless streams of pure white spiritual energy erupted outward along Zhao Chang'an's meridians like a mountain torrent, unstoppable. Within a radius of 5 meters around Zhao Chang'an, everything was reduced to ashes by the spiritual energy explosion. Completely naked, not even a single hair left, Zhao Chang'an sat in the scorched crater, staring blankly at his surroundings. His eyes wide, he exclaimed, "Holy crap, thank goodness the spiritual energy was channeled outward. If it had exploded inside me with that much power, I'd be black and blue all over, right? Captain, according to calculations, if there had been even a slight error in the spiritual energy release, just now you might now be scattered in pieces." Wangshu's tone was slightly serious, yet tinged with relief at having survived the ordeal. Zhao Chang'an stood up, extended his hand palm up, and a ball of spiritual energy materialized in his palm, compressing and taking shape. The terrifying energy contained within the orb was already comparable to a standard Federation grenade. Was this the power of the golden core? A faint smile curled at the corner of Zhao Chang'an's mouth. Indeed, compared to mastery of the mind, transcendence to sainthood, I still prefer. Flesh is weak, machinery ascends. Having adapted to the power within his body, Zhao Chang'an looked around, marveling at the treatment room that had been leveled by his own spiritual energy explosion. As the captain blowing up your own beloved ship, don't you feel even a shred of guilt? Seeing a flicker of regret in Zhao Chang'an's eyes that lasted only a split second before he became obsessed with his newfound power, Wangshu understood. This captain of hers had a conscience, but not much of one. Wangshu, what level is my combat power now? With your current strength, Captain, you can match a golden core peak cultivator. Initial mid-late peak. That's strong. Zhao Chang'an looked down at his body in disbelief, only then realizing he was still completely naked, his little bird exposed to the air. Wangshu, do you have anything to cover up your captain's modesty? Just as he was frowning over his exposed state, a bead on the bracelet he had just put on slowly unfolded. Like liquid nanomaterial, it quickly enveloped his entire body, and a white robe, in an ancient style, materialized lightly on Zhao Chang'an. To ensure the captain doesn't look too out of place, this nano-extensible battlesuit is specifically designed to mimic the style of this era. Wang Shu's voice drifted softly into his ears. Zhao Chang'an felt the fabric of the robe and was very satisfied. But then he touched his bald head and realized why the nanomaterial had stopped at his neck. It couldn't go further. His own spiritual energy burst had blasted away every single hair on his body. Manipulating spiritual energy, he grew a full head of hair. The nanomaterial extended accordingly, styling his hair into a top knot and conjuring a cyan hairpin. Thus stood a peerless gentleman in white as pure as snow in the middle of the crater. Truly his brows were sharp as swords, his eyes keen as autumn blades, a jade-like man in the world, a gentleman unmatched in his generation. Yet Zhao Chang'an's aura as a star battle commander created a miraculous chemical reaction with this image of a refined gentleman from a corrupt world. Seemingly gentle and elegant like jade and breeze, yet with a dashing spirit added between his brows. In the shifting of his eyes lay the wisdom and stratagem unique to a commander. I never thought I'd have long hair one day. Zhao Chang'an smiled slightly, finding the attire quite amusing. Wang Shu, regaining her composure from the assault of Zhao Chang'an's handsome looks, examined her own design with considerable satisfaction and began introducing the new additions. Captain, this is the nanotech armed core I prepared for you. It can expand your combat capabilities during the golden core stage and improve your spiritual energy efficiency. There are 5 different expansion functions. They'll transmit their specific details to your golden core terminal. The mechanical golden core in Zhao Chang'an's dantian was not merely a source of spiritual energy, it also served as an information terminal responsible for transmitting messages between Zhao Chang'an and Wang Shu. From then on, the two could communicate directly through thought, without any external devices. Feeling a stream of information flowing from the golden core into his mind, this mystical sensation caused Zhao Chang'an to pause momentarily, as if he had suddenly acquired an extra brain. Once accustomed to this feeling, Zhao Chang'an began to study the functions of the armed core in detail. So-called spiritual energy combat was essentially just a method of using energy. And the reason why cultivation techniques and battle skills in the immortal cultivation world had distinctions of strength or weakness was merely due to slight differences in the efficiency of using spiritual energy. Through the cultivators' own calculations and control, they manipulated spiritual energy to undergo different transformations and thus attack enemies. However, when it came to efficiency, no one dared to contend with the Star Federation, which had maxed out its technology tree. Naturally, Wang Shu would not let her captain learn battle skills that neglected the essence. Want long-range attacks? Why not create a dedicated long-range laser module? Want area effect attacks? Why not build a dedicated high-voltage electric field module? With the nanotech enhancement, Zhao Chang'an could activate different modules in the shortest possible time as needed. All he had to do was pour spiritual energy into the modules. In the early stages of the Star Federation's technological development, there were often fallacies such as the fragility of technology, clamoring that technology should not replace all combat power, claiming that advanced weapons, though powerful, were complex and prone to failure, while a simple practical dagger would never have problems. However, the so-called problems of high-tech weapons, prone to failure, unreliable, complex conditions, difficult to carry, only indicated that the technology level of those weapons was not high enough. The armed core crafted by Wang Shu using the pinnacle of the Star Federation's technological achievements would never malfunction, never make mistakes, and had a startup speed faster than ordinary cultivators' spellcasting. Science is the primary productive force, and it can also be the primary combat force. With a thought from Zhao Chang'an, the golden core in his abdomen immediately captured the command, and the bracelet lit up. All combat cores begin self-check. Self-check complete. Begin charging. The next moment, Zhao Chang'an felt a tremendous suction force coming from his wrist, continuously drawing energy from the golden core in his dantian. The amount of spiritual energy drawn was enough to drain an ordinary golden core cultivator in an instant. Glancing at the names of the 5 cores, a slight twitch appeared at the corner of Zhao Chang'an's mouth. Sword core, laser core, burning core, lightning core, giant core. These names were a bit too sloppy, weren't they? Enabling modification permissions, Zhao Chang'an decisively changed the official names of each armed core. Lightsaber core, laser core, blazing sun core, divine thunder core, titan core. Just as he was about to test them one by one, he suddenly felt a chill run down his spine, every hair on his body standing on end. A trembling that originated from the depths of his bones spread through his entire body. Found you, a sinister female voice echoed around the warship with no discernible source, as if it had appeared out of nowhere. That voice, it was the underworld queen. Zhao Chang'an looked up through the warship's porthole. The high-altitude Xihe was just passing over the southernmost edge of human territory. On the other side lay Goeishu. Captain, detecting spatial fluctuations from Goeishu. Prepare for battle. Wang Shu's voice rang. If Xihe were in its prime with the large-scale spatial disturbance device, unless the warship actively welcomed you inside, any uninvited guest attempting to teleport into Xihe would be confusedly sent into the surrounding space, and then obliterated by various caliber ship cannons. But at this moment the disturbance device was long out of commission. A vast amount of Zai's equipment needed repairs, and it would be a while before it could be addressed. The next instant the light in the medical bay twisted. The dense demonic energy of Guishu as thick as black mud solidified into entities and lunged at Zhao Chang'an. Zhao Chang'an had no time to care about the medical bay's facilities. With a twist of his palms, two highly compressed spheres of spiritual energy blasted out, scattering the dark fiends before him. Heaven knows what level the master of the third tier of Guishu had attained. With just a word or a thought, it could spawn a horde of dark fiends anywhere within its gaze. As the black mist in the medical bay grew denser, Zhao Chang'an, still relying on the inefficient method of compressed spiritual energy, gradually became overwhelmed. No sooner had his palm's spiritual energy sphere shattered one fiend than 3 or 4 new ones emerged from the deck. At the critical moment, the electronic prompt tone of the golden core terminal sounded in his mind. Beep. Lightsaber core ready. Perfect timing. With a thought from Zhao Chang'an, one of the beads on his bracelet opened a compressed space gate. A vast swarm of nanomachines surged out, covering Zhao Chang'an's entire body in a light armor. With a familiar hum, 2 gleaming white lightsabers sprang from his hands, and the thrusters on his feet assembled simultaneously. As the foot thrusters ignited, Zhao Chang'an's form turned into a streak of light, piercing through 4 fiends in succession. The bright white saber light dispersed the 4 black shadows into drifting ash scattered across the floor. This was the lightsaber core, light armor coverage, supreme speed, and close combat capability. Yet the medical bay seemed to have a monster spawn point. An endless stream of black sludge gushed forth. The individual fiends grew stronger, from the initial Foundation establishment stage to elite fiends at the Golden Core level. The lightsaber core, capable only of single-target attacks, gradually proved inadequate for the situation. Meanwhile, Wang Shu, having gone to activate some unknown permissions, had not replied to Zhao Chang'an's messages. Just as the entire medical bay was about to be swamped by fiends, the Golden Core terminal's prompt sounded again. Beep. Divine Thunder Core ready. With Zhao Chang'an's mental command, another wave of nanomachines covered his chest, forming a small electric field. Driven by the Golden Core terminal, Zhao Chang'an slowly rose into the air. An extremely powerful electric field formed in front of his chest, and countless spiritual energy arcs surged toward the fiends in every direction. In that moment, every fiend in the medical bay became a conductor for the current. Blazing, dazzling purple lightning illuminated the entire space, sweeping all the fiends clean. Not even black residue remained. Awesome! Zhao Chang'an roared, his bloodlust ignited. The exhilaration of annihilating all evils under the lightning purged the gloom in his heart. Just as he was about to check if more fiends would appear, Wang Shu's urgent voice echoed in his mind. Captain Brace. On the distant land of Guishu, a crimson figure stood. With a slight wave of its hand, a violent shockwave slammed into the surface of Zai's hull, tearing through layers of armor and equipment, hurtling with pinpoint accuracy toward Zhao Chang'an. An eerie decaying force instantly climbed onto Zai's outer hull. The sturdy structures and materials no longer obeyed the great laws of science. Instead, they rotted and withered like flesh and blood. The next moment, the entire medical bay was ripped apart. The immense impact, undiminished, hurled Zhao Chang'an and debris from the warship into the air. Now exposed without the warship's cover, Zhao Chang'an was fully within the underworld queen's gaze. Instinctively looking toward Guishu, though separated by an extreme distance, the queen's blood-red bridal gown was eerily and distinctly visible. Despicable insect, found you.